welcome to the EST Hangout.
This is the EST Hangout, and today's guests are...
A happy Tuesday morning to you. Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. Iwanyk, Tom Gazzola with you here. Also joining us today, it is the Glue Guy, Jay Milne, and Derek Van Diest from NHL.com. Thank you for taking your time bringing that down. Not like a quick silencer, but taking your time, Jay. That's all good.
It was a shocker.
Well, but like usually with shocks, like mine will do that. And you quickly turn it down. You looked at it and then you slowly tried silencing that.
It kind of caught me off guard.
Thank
Okay, I was just trying to be attentive and listen to your wonderful intro. Can we start again?
Welcome to the EST Hangout. How are you guys? What? You got the nice white Whale and the Wolf shirt.
Yeah, I was saying earlier outside here that my daughters realized it was from a rock band, and the lyrics for the song "Sharp Knife" are on the back of the T-shirt, and they read the lyrics, and you know, there's one lyric that says, "You better believe it's a sharp knife inside my head," and they thought, "Ooh, Dad, that's a
Deep cut.
interesting." But they have heard the song, and they do enjoy the song. I don't, and it's funny. My daughters, and I'm sure others out there who have kids, they have a real ability to listen to a song once or twice and know the lyrics.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's incredible. We'll be driving and say, "How do you know this song?" And we heard it on the bus, or you know, because on the bus, the bus driver, she listens to country music, so they know every country song. But it's incredible the amount that they can absorb and retain, I guess. You know?
That's country.
Country bumpkins, hey?
Good for them to put up with it and tolerate it.
Yeah, well, you know what? For 30 years, I thought that Jimi Hendrix lyric in that Purple Haze, I thought it was, well, I was getting laid, and it's actually the hour's getting late. And I swear to God, for 30 years, I thought that maybe he threw that in there. I don't know, but you know that.
I think sometimes artists will do that, just so that you don't know exactly
what it is and
what
then,
they're saying.
But it's like, but then I remember I listened to it. Oh, okay, that's an interesting lyric. And then interested again. It's like, well, the hour's getting late, and I think it was Bob Dylan did a version of that song. And then I was like, oh, I had that lyric wrong for like 30 years.
That was the big thing I remember being younger with Blue from Eiffel 65.
Yeah.
For like, as it hit number one.
It was a huge debate.
Everyone was trying to figure out, what are they saying? What are they saying?
I
And
think
it was
it's
like,
gibberish.
"I'm blue, if I was green, I would die."
I still don't even actually know.
Is that what it was?
I don't know.
It was a couple of Italian DJs. Like,
Yes.
I thought it was just gibberish.
It very well could be.
There was variations of what people thought, and this is before really like internet really kicked off.
Right.
So you couldn't just Google the lyrics or anything.
No.
And it was like, I remember everyone just listening really close to the TV, just trying to figure out like, what are they saying? What are they saying?
Yeah.
That was the biggest song for that.
There's a documentary on that.
Really?
In Eiffel 65. Surprisingly good.
No.
Yeah.
Who would
That's
have
a
thought?
huge song.
Right?
It was a massive hit.
Yeah.
One of the biggest of that. Was that a summer song?
It's
No,
defining
I
of
feel
like
like that
the
was-
early 2000s. That one, Thong Song.
Cisco.
Cisco, yeah.
Cisco, I remember
Edmonton
that.
resident Cisco. That's a lie. It was on his Wikipedia page forever for some reason, though.
Edmonton, that he was in Edmonton?
That he lived here. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like in Oliver or something. Somebody saw him working at Safeway in Oliver or something like that. I think that's what it was.
Who else was really big at that? Backstreet Boys were still a thing, right?
Sure, sure.
NSYNC.
Well, if you listen to any Pearl Jam song, I mean, there's so many memes out there and videos trying to break down what he says
Eddie Vedder.
in his songs.
Yeah.
October 98. Blue came out.
Did they have the lyrics? Can we settle this debate?
Lyrics. Can I find it? Let me quickly Google it.
You will
So
find
I'm
it.
blue, if I'm green, I would die.
That makes sense.
That's
No,
what I
that's
thought it
logical.
was.
Lyrics. April 65.
I was green, I would die. If I was...
And you got to do
Dabba
like
dee dabba dee. Dabba dee dabba die. Sorry. Dabba dee dabba die. Dabba dee dabba die. Dabba dee dabba die.
yeah, so it's gibberish.
Just
That
I'm
is
blue.
gibberish.
Dabba dee dabba die. Dabba dee. That's it.
Still sounds like if I was green, I would die.
That's
Maybe
fine.
they
Yeah, but
did
it's
it
not
later
that.
like that, like when they're like, "Hey, you guys need to actually write like a couple of lines for this crappy song."
Yeah. Well,
I actually
one hit,
really
one
like
hit
that song.
wonder.
You know what I found out
Yeah,
yesterday?
nothing green in here.
I had a major revelation in my revelation in my life yesterday.
Go on.
Huge. You won't believe it either. DVD shows up at our store.
He was just telling me about this.
Yeah. We saw each other at
Yvonne's
Hudson's.
Furniture, St. Albert Trail.
120.
Thank you.
129, yeah.
Open 11 to 8 today, and I will be there. And I have to leave early to open.
Okay.
I've meant to tell you that earlier. So DVD, he said, yeah, I was going to come in and see what you got. And as you saw, there's not much left. Like
Yeah.
it's going.
It's going fast.
So DVD's walking around looking, and I said to my brother, I said, hey, I'm going to be on the Hangout with him tomorrow. That's Derek Van Diest. He used to be with the Sun, and now he's with the NHL. And Scott, my brother, says, no, we played Huskies together. I said, what? Derek Van Diest played football?
Show him your finger.
So I immediately run up to him, and I'm like, did you play for the Huskies? He says, yeah, I played. And then it's like a light went off, because as I later found out, when DVD was first coming in here and I was first on here, he said, Milne, I think he asked you, Tom, I think I played football with
And
Jay
I was like,
Milne.
I don't really
And
know
he's
Jay yet.
I don't think so, because he's, you're 10 years apart in age. And then it was my brother.
It was his brother, yeah.
So sure as, you know what, they start rattling off football stories. I didn't know that Derek Van Diest was a quarterback. And then...
Well, I broke my hand playing football. Like
Look at that finger.
That's
It's
minor.
like a
I never
set.
did get it
Oh,
healed.
that is
yeah.
a twisty one there.
Yeah, I never
That's a
did get it. I
twisty
just
one,
like,
all right.
I'll rub some dirt on it.
And then he goes on to tell me that he went on to play soccer at Grant McEwen.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
You didn't know about it?
I
I
didn't know the
left.
soccer
I
for
left
Grant
the
Mac.
U of A. So I was playing football for the Huskies when I was at the U of A. I left the U of A to go to journalism school at Grant McEwen, and because I wanted the scholarship, the Jimmy Condon scholarship.
Yeah.
Because at the Huskies you were getting a scholarship for playing football, and so then I was like, well, I'm just going to try and walk on the soccer team. So then they had tryouts, and I went and I tried out, and the coach comes up to me and goes, how don't I know who you are? I know every soccer player in the city. Who have you been playing with? And I was like, actually, I've been playing football for the last 2 years. That's why. So, but then I walked on into the Grant McEwen soccer team. So,
Dual sport athlete Derek Van Diest.
yeah. So, but no, it's
see him
funny because
golf?
I was telling Tom. So Tom goes, oh yeah, Jay Milne. You know Jay Milne. And I was like, I know that last name. I played. I'm pretty sure I might have played football. And Tom's like, no way. He's like, he played in the whatever the different era. Like I played. I think I was Huskies 93, 94.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they
something
start
like that,
throwing
so.
names out, and it's like, oh my gosh, this was a trip down memory lane.
Your brother played for the Huskies?
Both my brothers played Huskies.
a wild
and-
You're a Wildcat, though.
I know. Yeah.
Why'd you go against the family?
Because the Huskies suck. And they always will.
We
and
were
they always
0-8
have.
the 2 years I played there. So,
No,
So you
went
were a
against
great
the
quarterback.
family, feels like.
Yeah.
So your brothers, one's older,
So here's what
or
happened.
both older?
My oldest brothers, they're both older.
'Kay.
My oldest
So you
brother
went against the
Scott,
family.
my business partner, he came from high school to the Huskies. Then he went and played Bears.
Okay.
Okay, my second oldest brother Alan went from high school right to the Bears
Damn.
and played with Scott at the same time.
Okay.
But then Al wasn't getting enough. Like he wasn't good enough to play for the Bears. Let's just say that. So he came back down, and played for the Huskies,
Yeah.
which happens. You get a lot of guys that bounce back because they want to go and try play at the higher level with the Bears, but you're not good enough. So you come back where you'll actually get some playing time and play with the Huskies. So yes, both my brothers played Bears football, and my sister played Pandas soccer.
that's a pretty athletic family.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all four of us got our degrees, believe it or not.
But you still went against the family with the Wildcats.
Well, see, here's the thing. They went against the tradition. Like, normally Sherwood Park people are Wildcats guys, and it still holds till this day.
Okay.
You don't cross the river, per se, on
Yeah.
that side. You just cross it by the Beverly Bridge. But that's how it's always been, is Sherwood Park, St. Albert. Those are people that are going to become Wildcats. It's proximity based.
Yeah. Well, I think in my day, I wasn't sure. I think there was a territory back in my day, depending on what high school. But I think they got rid of that. I think there was a time where they said if you were played this side of the river, you had to play Wildcats. This side of the river, you had to play Huskies. Like the situation with me is, I went to the U of A. I was at the U of A, their training camp or whatever in September, and then the quarterbacks coach said, you know what, we don't have room for you here, but you should go play with the Huskies. Or it must have been a summer camp or something like that. And so I went, played with this, because the Husky season starts in August, I believe. So, and then U of A starts in September. So it must have been like a spring or summer camp or something like that.
It's spring camp, probably.
Yeah, it's probably a spring
That
camp.
same thing happened to me. I went
Yeah.
to spring camp at the Bears. I got destroyed. And the defensive back coach, John Belmont, told me at that time, he says, you're not good enough here.
Yeah.
Go play junior for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Fast forward to today, that would never happen. That would never happen. You set foot on that Bears field, they'll find a way to keep you there.
Really? They don't send you to junior anymore?
What
they
happened?
will not
Just
send
not
you
enough
back.
guys?
In my belief, Chris Morris has built a strong program there.
Yeah.
It sure is.
And I mean, I shouldn't say everybody, but most guys that go there don't leave now. Now, that used to not be the case because Chris wants you in the program.
Yeah.
He wants you at the 6 a.m. runs. He wants you in the study clubs. He wants you to be all in. So if you're with them, he wants you for all 5 years. Even if you're redshirting for 2 years and then maybe you become something. If after 2 years you're still there, he'll gladly let you move along, right? Because it's just not going to work out here.
Right.
I get it from the Bears' perspective. As far as for junior teams, it's struggle. It's a tough one to handle because those players that are sitting there at the end of your bench, not even dressing, certainly not traveling, could develop and could become could be a travel player on the Wildcats or the Huskies. So there's both sides to the equation. I am of the belief, and have always been of the belief, that a player that comes out of high school, unless you're very special, I mean very special, you should play 1 to 2 years of junior.
Yeah.
Because it is a jump. When you're in high school, you're 17, 18, you're playing against your peers. You move on to junior, you're playing against people that are, 22 years of age or younger. In university, you're playing against people that have kids. Right, you're playing against men, and we've all seen it. The growth in your body, like the physical growth in your body from high school to 24, is impressive.
Yeah.
There's a lot of strength put on. In some cases, I mean, I graduated high school. I was 5'10", literally grade 12, 5'10". So you see the changes in your body, right? So I am a big proponent of that. Go play junior, learn how to travel, learn how to go on road trips. Learn how to be a part of a locker room because you're really not in high school. And then if you're good enough, they'll find you. They'll still find you and recruit you and bring you over to the Bears. So it's a win-win in my opinion. But I can understand Chris Morris would vehemently disagree with me.
No, I'm of the same opinion. To me, I think it's better playing than it is sitting on a bench, obviously. And then practices are practices. I think I remember when I was in high school, I made the senior boys basketball team. That's a little different situation. I was in 10th grade. I was the only 10th grader who made that team. The team was full of 12th graders. And so I talked to my coach at the time. He says, you're not going to play a lot, but you're going to learn way more practicing with 12th graders than you are going to go be dominating junior basketball as a 10th grader. Like, you're going to go play junior basketball, you can average 25 points a night, but you're going to be playing with worse players. If you're here, you're not going to get a lot of playing time in your first year, but you're going to be practicing with 12th graders all the time. So to me, that was a good switch, and so I decided to stay and played senior boys basketball in 10th grade. We ended up winning the city championship that year.
Nice.
But it was, so it's a,
An accomplished athlete over here.
Well, tell us about the time you turned down BYU.
well, I didn't turn down BYU.
I know. I'm just teasing.
No,
Are you Mormon?
no, I'm not.
That's why I turned it down.
What?
They wouldn't let me in.
No, when I was a kid in high school, I sent out a bunch of recruiting tapes and stuff like that. And BYU, this is the thing to do back then. You just put a VHS tape together and send them out to all these.
Did you
different
have the
football
highlight of
schools.
you almost getting Sergio Oliveira's killed?
No, we can get to
Cameraman
that.
extraordinaire.
We can get to that story in a second.
He's
But
got a broken, messed up finger, doesn't
Well,
he?
he's got a broken
I
head
got a
because of this
broken
guy.
finger. So I sent them out, and then BYU contacted me. It's like, hey, we'd like you maybe come down to one of our junior colleges. And they were like the only school. So I said, oh, okay. So I went down to a place called Ephraim, Utah, and for a place called Snow College. For a week, they had me down there going to their spring camp. So I went to the spring camp for a week. And
How good were those guys?
they were good. They were
Yeah.
good guys. But I fit in okay. I could throw the football. Like, the fun thing was we were playing when I played. I don't know if they still
What
now,
happened
but we
to you
played
after that?
We played in the J5. We played with that J5V, that big. It was like almost a round football. And you go down to college, and that college ball is like this big. So it was like throwing a Nerf ball around. So I was tossing that thing 60 yards down the field, not a problem because it was so small. But because I remember I used to playing with the big J5Vs. But the story with Sergio is Sergio, cameraman extraordinaire. He works around.
He does TSN
He was our
work, yeah.
fullback. We were playing a game on Shaw Television. I can't remember. I think we were playing St. Albert or something. And this is the year after we won city championship. So we won. I think I was in grade 11. We won the city championship. So the next year, all of our 12th graders left. And so
This
we
was
were
Holy Trinity,
Holy
right?
Trinity, yeah.
Okay.
So we were gutted. So I was like, so we had really a bad team, like because all the good players left. So we were playing St. Albert, we're getting killed, and I remember there was a swing pass coming out of the middle. So Sergio comes for a swing pass like this. And usually a swing pass, you can kind of just zip it to the guy, so he catches and goes. And I think I had guys in my face, and I lobbed it up in the air.
I know where this
and
story is.
as he's going like this, I see the defensive back's eyes open up like this, and just. Beeline. The whole stadium knew what was happening, with the exception of Sergio Oliveras, who was standing like this trying to catch the ball. And I just put my hands on my head going, oh no. And he got absolutely lit up. He did a backflip and he ended up on his face down, out cold. Like, oh my God, I just killed Sergio. That is on tape somewhere. We're trying to find that because that game was on, used to have, I think it was Shaw Cable or Video.
Game of the Week, yeah.
Game of the Week.
Yeah,
It was a
yeah,
Video
yeah.
Tron Game of the Week.
Somebody's got to have those access to those videos when they shut down. Somebody must.
Somebody
they
must.
must have stored them.
But you know what?
somewhere.
I think we all recorded the game because it was on video. So I'm sure I got a VHS.
You probably have a VHS at your parents' house
yeah,
or
somewhere,
something, right?
somewhere that I have that game. And I remember we were trying to look for it a few years ago. We had a friend that had a brain tumor and that we played football with, and he passed away about 8 or 9 years ago. So, but before he passed away, we decided to have a football. It was the anniversary of our city championship team. So we went to Pub 1905. They let us have the back room. And then we just played old high school videos. But we couldn't find
Get that
that one. Particularly. No one had that one. It's like, that was on TV. We should have all had it. Like, it was like,
probably
Should have
scrubbed
that
it.
one should have been saved.
well, I remember the
especially.
broadcasters. Forrest Kennard
Forrest Kennard
was
Tim
one of-
Dancy.
Tim Dancy and Forrest Kennard.
Yeah.
I actually played for Forrest at Huskies. He was there he was a quarterback's coach for. His brother is the kicker. Sorry, what's the kicker's name?
Where at?
Did he play Winnipeg? Kennard. What was Kennard's first name? He was his brother, twin brother. So Forrest Kennard was a quarterback, smaller guy, but his brother was I thought his brother kicked for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Oh.
I can't remember.
I just know Forrest Kennard because
Yeah.
he won a Vanier Cup with the Bears.
Yeah, he did. And so he was the quarterback's coach when I was at Huskies there for a bit. But he was calling the game, and you could see Forrest as soon as I threw the ball. I was like,
Trevor?
oh, look out!
Trevor Kennard.
So Trevor Kennard was the kicker for Winnipeg Blue Bombers, if I'm not mistaken. And then you could see Forrest goes, "Oh, look out!" as the ball's hanging in the air, and poor Sergio's looking at it like this. So if I could ever find that tape, all the trainers at the Oilers want to see this tape.
Yeah.
I think everyone wants to see this.
yeah,
happen.
I want to see him. He's been talking about it for 15 years.
Yeah, we can't
I
find
have a
it.
VHS player, so if you have them, I could
gotta
plug
go
in the
I gotta
VHS
go
player.
find a box
Yeah.
of videos, and then we'll go through.
You know
the
what you should do
VHS.
is you should get those digitized.
Yes,
Get them
I
put
should.
on a USB. There's a place on the south side behind Home Depot and Gateway.
is there? Okay.
Little spot. They'll digitize anything.
I like watching a good VHS. Still.
That's
No,
Good
that's-
VHS
no,
is nice to
that's
watch
just
if you
'cause
have the.
Well, I'm sure
still
there's
have like
I
few.
got
I have like
I got a
three.
box of
Yeah.
VHS tapes
Yeah.
of like hockey games and stuff like that, and I still got the '93 World Series, the Blue Jays World Series. I
okay.
was so excited because I was recording it, and then Joe Carter hit the home run, and now I was excited because I had it on tape.
Right.
back in the day, if you didn't record it, you didn't have it.
You won't watch it again. I want to go watch football.
You're wearing the
Yeah, Johnny Alberta asking what football kit I'm wearing. I'm wearing a Ukrainian jersey
Ukrainian.
because they're taking on Iceland today for a chance to go to the Euros.
Oh.
I also wore it last week when they took on Bosnia, and they were
Lost.
down 1-0. And pardon?
Did they lose that game?
No, they were down 1-0 going into the 80th minute. They scored 2 goals in the 80th minute.
Wow.
They won 2-1.
Damn.
It was close, but now they get Iceland and Poland today to go to the Euros. They lose, they're out. But if Ukraine wants to get to the Euros, we got to go beat Iceland today, 1:45.
I met
kickoffs.
Andrei Shevchenko once, and I
No
don't
way.
remember where. I can't remember where.
Was it at Kelly's?
No, it was not a Kelly's.
No, okay, just wondering.
You have no idea who Andrei Shevchenko is, do you?
I do because I went to Austin O'Brien.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And they have a Ukrainian program there, which I didn't know about going to that school when my mom forced me to go to AOB. And then
Northside was too tough.
well, she's like, I'm going to do the voice right now because I remember this distinctly. We had this conversation a couple of weeks ago. She's like, you're not going to O'Leary because your cousins are there and your hockey buddies. You're never going to graduate. You're going to Austin O'Brien because your uncle is there. And I'm like, oh my
Your
God.
uncle was a teacher there?
No, vice principal. It was
okay.
my mom's cousin, Jerry, great guy. I was there my first year, 10th
What's
grade.
his last name?
Timko.
Okay.
Yeah, I was there and I saw him like twice. He'd just be like, hey, Tom.
Were you guys there when Ron Gabinet was there?
Doesn't ring a bell.
Darcy has an
Mr.
Oscar, my
Gavin,
old football
maybe.
coach.
Augie was great.
Augie and
You
Darwish.
guys know Augie?
Yeah.
He's been there
he was-
forever.
He was the football coach, but he was the gym teacher. He was the best.
and
Those
then
guys were all over
My
me.
friend, were they? My friend Greg Carabine teaches there as well. He's a science teacher.
Great guys. But yeah, so I found out who Shevchenko is because all the Ukrainian guys were like,
was great.
Shevchenko's the best.
He was the great.
And I was like, who?
He was brilliant with AC
AC
Milan, and then things didn't go well when he went to Chelsea. But that was supposed to be a
somewhere
massive
in Europe.
move.
I remember I was in a scrum and Shevchenko showed up, and I can't remember where it was.
He
Okay.
scored the big goals, and when the Euros was in Ukraine, Poland, and they had Ukraine was, I don't think it was the opening match. Maybe it was. They took on Sweden. He scored 2 brilliant goals in Ukraine. It was a big deal. He's like the legend of Ukraine.
I quickly learned the legend of Andrei Shevchenko.
It's one of the reasons, like AC Milan is my favorite Italian club because they play in Italy, and then they had the great Ukrainian on it. So it was like best of both worlds for me.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, more than Juventus, AC Milan was the club I always liked in Italy.
Okay, enough Ukrainian soccer talk. Okay, let's get to
dive.
Hang on.
Before are you going football?
No,
There's a
Okay.
couple of texts that have come in too.
no. I want to get to what the people are here to see today. There's
What are they? It's
hundreds of
Tuesday.
people chiming in on the nasty chat asking that they are here to hear the definitive review
Okay, it's from this
from
JL.
Tommy
Yes.
Oh,
of
yes.
Ghostbusters.
Have you seen it?
I watched it last night. I very much enjoyed it. Am I seriously going into it?
You are.
Yes,
You get time.
Fantastic addition to the canon of Ghostbusters. I know that the reviews weren't particularly great. My brother, one of them, Mike, was like, "Hey, Rotten Tomatoes, bad score. I'm worried." Went and saw it with my brother Paul and Rogan Dean from the Oil Kings last night, and I loved it. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. And to the people that don't like, I haven't watched or read any reviews, but I feel like it's the hardcore Ghostbusters fans who just didn't get what they wanted. I thought it was it had a lot of
Cinematic
callbacks.
masterpiece?
It was phenomenal, a great addition.
I love
would
how
say.
you alluded to the canon of Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I you know what, I appreciate the fact that they actually reference Ghostbusters 2, which they really didn't all that much in Afterlife, and they brought in Janine. She's part of the crew, and I think they did a phenomenal job with it. Great movie. I highly recommend, and you don't need to overthink it like some dorks do that are ripping the movie because it wasn't fan service for them. And it's like you're not gonna please everybody. You know, like when Game of Thrones ended, people are like, yeah, that was terrible how it ended. It's because like you get this preconceived notion in your mind that it should end like this and this and this. Just go enjoy the damn movie. It was really well done. A lot of good jokes and subtle ones, and a lot of callbacks, which I thought was fantastic. Thank you so much for the floor.
Is Ghostbusters done then?
No,
They
and
left an opening?
It could be like if they said, you know what, we don't think the appetite's there, or the studio's not putting money into it. They could end it there. They could leave it there, but it's open to continue.
I've never seen one Ghostbusters.
You've never seen the
I think I've
original
seen the
Ghostbusters?
original, but I was really young.
I
don't
would.
remember.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
that's a
I
great
would've
movie.
Great movie.
The original
Yeah.
Ghostbusters I've seen like 20 times.
Ghostbusters 2 has a bad rep, but it's actually a decent movie. Afterlife did a great job in continuing on the storyline, and then
Was Afterlife
Frozen
the one
Episode-
filmed in Alberta?
Yeah,
Right. My sister-in-law was
Fort
the
McLeod.
costume designer
Oh,
for that.
that was a great one. Like it was weird how they took it out of New York, and then you also recognize like, oh, that's Fort McLeod. Like when you drive through it, like I know that place. And then now they bring it back to New York and a new bad guy, and I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
Well, that's a good recommendation.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna go see Kung Fu Panda with the kids today.
oh, nice.
It's spring break,
It's
so we
a
gotta
spring break.
I gotta entertain the kids. Kung Fu Panda. I don't think I've seen any of them.
Kung
There's
Fu
like 3 of
Panda
them or
is
something.
this is 4 now, right?
it
I think
4?
so.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's Kung Fu
Okay.
Panda 4.
yeah. It's Jack Black.
Jack Black sang Britney Spears for it,
Of course he did.
and it was brilliant.
He's great. I saw it. Did you guys
It was Tenacious D singing
have
it.
you seen Tenacious D live?
I haven't, but I've heard. Actually, Jeff Walker, like he said, they're great.
I saw them at Sonic Boom like
I
7,
miss
8 years
Sonic
ago. Sonic Boom was a great festival. Very, very
They
fun.
had some great
Yep.
artists.
And Tenacious D, I think they were a headliner one of the nights.
Oh, they'd be the headliner
Awesome.
for
They
sure.
were so good. So
Apparently, it's just super entertaining.
Yeah.
And
Britney Spears. Can't remember. I can't remember exactly which song, but it was almost better than Britney Spears.
good. Hey, have you seen Britney Spears lately? She puts these videos on her Instagram of her dancing in her kitchen, and it's just sad. I'm like, oh no.
And
Oh,
she's her. dad and a lot of other
Yeah.
things really ruined.
You could tell,
Britney Spears in the tabloids, the
feel awful for
paparazzi.
her.
Her life
Yeah.
turned very poorly because of other people.
Yeah, and I'm not
She's a
mocking her.
cautionary tale of,
Yeah.
of what could happen.
Well,
when you're a top
she's, you know,
celebrity.
you see Justin Timberlake on one end of the spectrum, and then you see Britney Spears, who were both Disney kids.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there's quite a difference there.
Yep.
But was that what was the word that she was under, like, covenant?
Conservatorship, wasn't it?
yeah.
No,
No,
not
Conservatorship.
Yeah, something
Yeah,
like that.
something like
Something
Where her
like
dad
that.
controlled all her money.
Well,
He was in charge of
until
everything.
she was like, and she had to like. Go to
This was
court
only
to
till a
get
couple
out of
years
that.
ago.
Yeah, she
Right.
had to go to court to get out of it because she was over 18.
Because he
and-
said she didn't have the mental capacity,
Well,
basically, to make
after
her
her
own
public-
decisions.
after her public meltdown, right? She had that public meltdown.
And then, like,
Shaved
it
her
got
head.
to a point where, like, I guess she would order. She was at a hotel for a residency in Vegas, and she would order flowers up and make bouquets out of it because that's the only thing she could do for fun. The staff would just bring her flowers, and she'd make different arrangements from it.
Yeah,
that's
man,
the most she could do, and it is devastating because, like, she was the queen for a few years
Yeah.
there. Like, there was
Monster
no one like
crush
Taylor
on her.
Swift. Like, she could have been Taylor Swift.
She
in
was
terms
Taylor
of-
Swift.
but
There
they
was no
were-
Taylor
I
Swift
think-
without Britney.
I know that's a great point,
Yeah.
but like Taylor Swift is as now big as the NFL, right?
Yeah,
like
absolutely good point.
Britney Spears could have been that potentially.
Yep.
I think Taylor
And-
Swift might be bigger than the NFL.
Yeah,
I hate to say
Yeah, I
it,
think
but
so. Yeah,
it's tight.
global brand.
well,
Like,
I mean,
there's not a lot of people that could actually bring extra business to the NFL, and she just did it, which is stunning.
Britney
Good for her.
Spears obviously seems to be going through a lot, but
Yep.
I'd think you'd rather be Britney Spears right now than P Diddy.
Oh,
that's
man,
that's
there's
gonna be
some,
true.
I don't. Yeah,
there's some bad rumors. I don't know if they're true about P Day. Someone's like, he this, and this. Read what this rapper
Well,
says.
they're calling
It's
him
like,
the Epstein of Hollywood.
yeah, that's messed
yeah.
up.
This
man.
is one where we've got to see what plays out here because this is going to be very bad. FBI raiding both his homes yesterday.
3 of his homes.
Three of
Is
his
it
homes.
3? 3 of
And
his
they
homes.
arrested his
It's
kids?
Yeah, they
both
took his
or
kids
whatever.
into,
So it's
yeah.
like
custody.
that's gonna
Yikes.
be very, very weird to watch. And yeah,
And they, there was a Diddy flight tracker.
but he wasn't on the plane.
Apparently he
again, 'cause
wasn't on
TMZ
that.
got a video of him outside the airport in
Miami hotel.
Miami, just walking around, and
Yeah.
that's going to be very, very bad. By the way, I mentioned Vegas there. Keyword for EST Flyaway to Las Vegas, thanks to our partners with FlyYG and the LVCVA coming up just after 10 o'clock. We will do that keyword, so keep it locked and get ready to text in to 780-218-9999 when we do give out that keyword. Derek Van Diest, Tom Gazzola, Jay Milne, Iwanyk with you here. We're live on TuneIn, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, iHeartRadio, as well as YouTube. There's a lot we have to get to. We will get to the Oilers.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, if we can, I wouldn't mind getting into the betting with Porter and the Raptors and all of that.
Oh, right.
But I want to stick with football because two big things have happened over the last 24 hours for football rules. There's the hip drop tackle that is being banned and the changes to the NFL kickoffs. Where shall we start?
Stop with the tackle.
Okay. Sorry to everyone watching on YouTube. I had a video ready to go, but I screwed it up, and I can't show you the hip drop
So the hip
tackle.
drop
But the
tackle
hip drop
essentially is
tackle is now
essentially
being
tackling
banned.
a guy and dropping on his back leg.
That's
on
what
his
happened to
straight
Bo
leg.
Jackson, right?
It happened. No, Bo Jackson, his hip blew out.
Yeah.
He took a step. Anyway, what it is when you grab a guy and then you drop on his back leg. And
Use your
that's how you
body weight to bring him down.
Bring him down, yes. And to me, as a former offensive player, I've always thought that was a dirty play because you see lots of guys rip up their knees. You see lots of guys break their legs. To drop on a guy's back trailing leg, to me, is like in soccer tackling his planted foot. It's like in hockey hip checking a guy in his knee. Like to me, that's the danger. It's a very dangerous tackle. Guys get hurt a lot, and that's why I don't like. I never did like it. Like I was like, yeah, I like. We've seen a lot of examples of this, and it had become, in my opinion, a method of bringing down a player. And to me, it was a dirty play. It's like chopping a guy. There was that play earlier last year where the guy receiver went up in the air to catch the ball. The guy chopped him at the knees, ripped up his knees. To me, that's a dirty play as well. So that's my perspective of it. I don't like the tackle, and it was unanimous. Like, it wasn't debate. It was unanimous. This is a dirty play. Too many guys are getting their knees ripped up. Too many guys are getting their legs broken. And I think that's my take on it. Jay might have a different.
Well, I texted Jay yesterday too because, and before I let you jump in here, Jay, I looked at some videos of this, and I, as a guy who doesn't really know fully, I'm looking at these, and they look like tackles to me, though.
They're not, though.
And I'm just wondering, at what point, where can you tackle? if you can't go around the hip type thing, because it's going to be very because the refs now, if there is a line, I don't know where that line is watching it from my eyes. So how's a ref going to be able to determine which one is good and which one's bad?
You can tell.
You can't go for the head, and it's like, well, where are these defenders now supposed to tackle? But you're the defender, so it was. I'm not surprised. There's a difference here.
Well, DVD's answer is typical of a, pompous quarterback.
Will you guys be fighting today? I look forward to it. I'll wrap it.
Yes, there might be a difference of opinion here, but do you know why they look like tackles, dear Matthew? Because they are tackles. That's why they look exactly like tackles. It's a strange phenomenon. But here's the nuts and bolts of this, okay? The NFL went out and they looked at what was the leading contributor to unnecessary or football-related injuries.
Yeah.
Not a guy blowing his knee when he goes to plant. Like those are not football-related. And this hip drop tackle was the leading candidate of unnecessary and glaringly the leading, I guess, contributor to football-related injuries. That is why the NFL has targeted this as a player safety issue. And yes, it was unanimous because the owners vote on that. Mm-hmm. And guess what? The owners didn't want to see Mark Andrews out last year because this is, I said to Maddie earlier, this is the Mark Andrews rule for current reasons. Yeah. This is what put Mark Andrews out until the playoffs, right? And who knows what would happen to Baltimore if he was there for the year, right? But I digress. The problem is this. I don't agree with it, okay? Yeah. I didn't agree with the the quarterback rules where you can almost not touch a quarterback now. I just think that they're trying to change the rules so much to make football like if you're a defensive player in the NFL right now, there should be almost some sort of a rule with the player union that you get an extra 10% a year above anything because you're going to give it right back to the league in fines. Because not only are these penalized plays, these are finable plays. So you're going to have defensive backs that are going to be cashing a lot of checks to the NFL this year for something that is going to take time to get used to. Okay, they took head-to-head contact out of the NFL. The numbers are showing. And when that came out, I was ticked off. I didn't like that because when we were playing football, you were told and taught to lead with your head and put it right on somebody's head or on their chest. Right. That's how the game was taught. I get that there's a safety issue here, and that needs to come out of the game.
And it took a while, but I think it's out.
Numbers are down.
There's not a lot of people going. We're not seeing those flags as much these days.
You're not. This will happen with this rule as well. It will get naturally transitioned out of the game because I got news for you. The NFL has never went back on one penalty that they've ever thrown, right? Yeah. They've never went back on one rule change that they've made. This is here to stay. So I can stand up on my hilltop in my soapbox and cry and whine about it as much as I want. I do think that this is the lower body version of the horse collar penalty, which that is a dangerous play.
Yes.
This is dangerous. My issue with it is how are players, when you have Rob Gronkowski size like tight end barreling down on you, how?
Well, the Ravens, you said this Mark Andrews rule, they now just got Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's running down the field. How are you taking down Derrick Henry?
Well, here's what's going to happen, and this is what I said would happen to when you took out, okay, I can't hit above your waist when a receiver's coming across the middle. Well, if I was playing in the NFL, guess what I would be doing? I would be throwing my entire body weight at your left knee every time I have to try and tackle you. I'm not going to try wrap you up. I'm going to try and break your leg. I'm going to try and separate your kneecaps.
That's what you do now?
That's what I would do now.
And I think that...
Whereas I used to probably want to square you up, wrap you up, and bring you down. Or if you were in a little bit of a precarious position, I'd try and knock your head off. Not anymore. You're going to have... This is going to be a byproduct of, okay, if I can't wrap him up, I can't hit him in the head or the shoulders or the neck area. If a guy's coming across the middle and you're coming across the middle, you're catching a crosser from a quarterback and you're running full speed, one plant foot that gets hit with full power of a strong safety, your knee's going to be blown into pieces. So,
but then there's going to be a rule put in place to protect that spot.
Well, of course, there'll probably be a progression
Because
to
there'll
that.
be one guy that will have his knee blown out and will be like we did with quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You can't go low now, and that's
Yeah.
going to be low. So all you're going to have in the end eventually is
Flag football.
you could wrap somebody around the
I was just
torso,
gonna say that.
and you have to hold them up until they stop moving, and then the ref blows the whistle.
You know, it makes me wonder why the NFL is pushing flag football as much as they are, because it is.
Is that
a
the future
big
you're saying?
push. It is a big push.
an
I mean, it's in the
Olympic sport.
Olympics, but the NFL is pushing flag football in the U.S. and in Canada,
Yep.
like with a lot of money power. So I wonder if this is the progression as to where football is heading. I've said it on this show before. I'll say it again right now. If I have 3 daughters, but hey, girls are playing football now too. There's not a chance in hell that my daughters would play football or my sons, because there's just too many long-term unidentified. Now it's starting to be identified with the trauma that your head goes through on a daily basis when you're throwing that much speed and weight around. So I, as a defensive guy, yes, it just takes away, but I've kind of got into my old man phase now where you just have to accept things as what they are.
Yeah.
And that is the NFL is trying to make it safer for their players. And this will cost a lot of players a lot of money for the next year or two, and a lot of flags, which is going to slow the games down even more. But that's the way it's going to be because it's here to stay.
No, it is, and I think you've made that point. The reason I think the NFL is looking to try and make their game safer is because a lot of parents are saying, "My kid's not playing football. No, my kid's not like my sister Emerson's not playing football. Just at night, he's not playing football. I don't care that you played football. I don't care. He's not playing football, which is just too bad because I think he would actually make a pretty
He's a
good
big kid.
quarterback. He's a big kid. He throws the ball really well. But I think that's the reasoning. Okay, why aren't kids playing football? Because it's dangerous, and there is a danger element to any sport. Basketball,
It's a
football,
contact sport,
hockey, it's
though, too,
contact sport.
especially, though.
But you have to find the fine. Like to me, that tackle, it's usually done 90% of the times by defensive backs on bigger players. So they grab a guy and then they drop down on his leg, and that's the tackle. And I remember in high school, we had coaches that would say, grab his leg and then roll on the back, grab his waist and roll on the back of his leg. And so then you had a lot of issues with offensive linemen were getting rolled onto on purpose because that was a way to eliminate the offensive line. And then how many knees were getting blown out on the offensive line. That play is no longer legal. So I think it is a progression. But you look at the Tony Pollard. If you're looking for an example of that tackle, look at Tony Pollard in the playoffs a couple years ago. He's running down the sidelines. Guy grabs him and then falls on his trailing leg, breaks it. He's done. And like that is if you're a casual football fan, that just looked like a tackle to me. But if you play football, it's like that's a dirty play.
Okay.
It's just like watching in hockey when a guy hip checks your knee or a guy sticks out his knee, right? Against some people, that just looks like a collision to me. Well, no, he stuck out his knee. It's a knee on knee hit. That's why they're getting rid of those. Like it's subtle, but it's a subtle dirty play, and that's why I'm glad they finally addressed it.
And that's what's interesting because, like, to me, I'm watching these and I'm not noticing the difference.
Yeah.
But if there is a difference, then that makes sense. And it's going to be fascinating because refs are going to call this, though, and there's going to be a lot of people pissed off. This is going to be a few years of people going,
they're
the Chiefs
understanding what
also
it
got
is.
a penalty here. Oh, of course they got the penalty.
Yeah.
It's going to happen to, like, in big moments.
Now,
and the refs are going to have to call it, and that's going to be we thought we had the issue with the catch for a while, and I don't have to tell you about that.
the catch.
But now it's like this is going to be the big thing that's going to blow up on Twitter. We're going to be talking about, and I will say that this needs to be reviewable. Then, if this is going to be 15 yards, and I don't think the headshot's reviewable still in the NFL. It is in college because it's player gets kicked out in college if it's a headshot, so they have it reviewable. Those need to be reviewable because at least with the headshot, refs they got to a point where they just threw the flag if they felt it was close, and you'd watch the replay and you go, you missed it.
Yeah.
But I understood why the refs were doing that because they didn't want to miss the call the wrong way. Those need to be reviewable so you could quickly look at it and be like, okay, you want to know something? It wasn't a headshot, or this, it wasn't a hip drop tackle. We can't just give 15 yards because the ref wants to be cautious here.
Yeah.
That's the thing I would like to see.
The only thing I will say, I disagree with you, DVD. I don't feel that it is a dirty, premeditated style play by a defensive back, especially in that Tony Pollard clip. I know exactly the clip you're talking about because he's streaking down the sideline and you got to try and tackle this guy. And if you're just going to go for a leg swipe, probably not going to work on Tony Pollard, whose bottom half is built like oak trees.
Yeah.
I liken it to a lion or a lioness jumping on the back of a wildebeest.
Yeah.
They're just trying to get that thing down to the ground any means necessary, using their body weight, wrapping around. If you're in a trail position as a defensive back, to lunge out and grab waist and hang on to that waist, and now you're dragging like a dead dog behind the car in National Lampoon's. You're just trying to hang on for dear life. And yes, your body weight will be used to bring that player down. Is it premeditated? And yes, I understand that puts the offensive player like Tony Pollard in a very vulnerable position. It's not a good position to be in, right? But in Tony Pollard's case, run faster. But I don't think it's
If
dirty.
you could find that clip, Matt, that would be the clip. Try and find Tony Pollard broken leg. It was in a playoff game a couple years ago, and you look at that tackle and you go, okay, I can see where that's coming.
It's just fascinating because I feel bad for defenders because every rule change is always now for the offense.
Well, it's safety of the player.
But like defenders, there's going to be, you're saying fines. There's going to be jobs lost because someone's not going to be good enough to replace, and they'll just bring in the next player and the next player and the next player, and they won't be able to do it.
There are some plays to defend because there used to be a pick play on defensive backs where a guy would run like the reverse or whatever, and you could cut the defensive back in half. You can't do that play anymore. Can't chop block anymore. Like there are things that you can do to save defensive players. The chop block is gone. Like you used to be able to cut a guy at his knees, right? Can't do that anymore. Right?
I will say one thing about the owners. If everything's about safety, like they unanimously vote for this one.
I hope you're going to say what I want you to say.
The players, though, sit there and say, we want natural grass across all 32 fields.
No, I agree.
And the owners are going, nah, we're good.
Too
And
expensive.
It's one where it's like, okay, if you care about players, say like this one, you're trying to protect your players, but you don't have to do anything. You're just putting in a rule. The moment it's spend a couple $100,000 to put in real grass everywhere, no, we can't do that one. That's a step too far for us.
They're not trying to protect their players.
They're
trying
protecting
to protect their
investments.
star players.
Yeah, and
They're
they're protecting the
investments.
bottom line. You
And
don't
the
want to pay a guy
star
$30 million not to play.
The star players are your offensive players.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
that they sell the tickets. They bring the eyeballs. But those players could get hurt with the turf too. Go spend you get billions of dollars every year from your TV deal. Take $32 million, give $1 million to each team, and go every year. Get it. Make sure your turf's proper.
Yeah, but I think that's one of the issues is that some of those are multi-use facilities, right? So
No,
you're
not
you're
anymore.
Pay the
not
money.
just playing.
Not
Figure it
anymore.
out.
There are
You're
no
making
more multi-use
billions of
facilities.
dollars.
No, I'm
No,
not
he's
saying
saying,
not just the NFL
there
teams.
could be
use it.
conventions or something, or
other
concerts, or
other
things.
concerts and those venues.
Yeah, but
you're spending $1 million for 9 games a year, right?
Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're taking in like $6 billion or whatever it is from their TV contract.
I guarantee
I think
you-
$32 million. Oh, you want to know something? I'll go up a little higher. Double that. Give each team $2 million.
It's
Well,
a
I'd like
drop
to
in the
Make
bucket.
sure your turf is good. If you care about player safety, go do that.
But
as
I'd
the
like to
owners.
see the stats on how many guys are ripping up their knees on the new turfs.
There was MetLife Stadium where the Giants and the Jets share. Obviously, they were showing, and I'm always fascinated by this. They're showing how they do the conversion for Jets to Giants, and basically it's the same field, and then they switch out the logo or the end zones with the team's colors. Obviously, the stuff inside the stadium goes from Giants to Jets, vice versa. And they're saying they have a bunch of trouble with that field at the time. Maybe they've improved it. I'm hoping that they did, but where the seams were to connect the end zones to the regular part of the field. And guys were tripping up in them. There was little crevices, and they were twisting up their ankles and stuff.
You played at the U of A turf where the lines are actually raised. The logo is actually raised.
Oh, that's not good.
I'm like, oh my god! Like
The issue with turf, for those wondering, compared from the new turf compared to natural grass, the new turf is fascinating. It is bouncy. It's filled with small rubber pellets. It's very similar, but in different conditions, it reacts totally different than natural turf. Like if it's a little bit wet on the field, on grass, your foot, if it misses its plant, will just slide out.
Yeah.
Right? In this, you're not sliding out anywhere, but your body is. So your whole it changes the way you've walked and run and I mean a lot of these athletes have played. I mean everybody that's playing football now plays on turf fields. It's just the way it is. But it is
But they have the ability to not. That's the thing. In 2023, an article came out about a research done on this. And it said from 2012 to 2016 NFL regular season games, 16% more injuries per play on artificial turf compared to grass. All games that had been played on grass during the period had 319 fewer foot and leg injuries. Looking at non-contact injuries, risk was even higher. It was about 20% more injuries per play, artificial versus grass. And I think if the owners, like I look at it, you tell the players, you got to adjust to this, deal with this. But it's the players that are sitting there, and they're the ones that believe, well, no, we want natural grass, though. I think it's a give and a take here.
If you put a rule change or this into a simple question, would you rather see the hip drop tackle rule enforced, or would you rather see the NFL enforce that every field needs to be natural grass?
By players?
It would be 100%. If you presented this to the players' union, it would be 100% to 0 that they would be unanimously in favor of every playing field going to natural grass. Not even a question.
I would say the skilled players might disagree.
They won't. They will not.
You think like the Mark Andrews of the world that
because
is
it's
having
not
a hip
the skill,
drop.
it's not the skill players getting injured. It's their offensive linemen that block for their quarterback that throws them the ball that are getting injured.
Are you
And
saying the turf?
Yes.
Yeah, but they get injured on the hip drop. That's where I'm saying those people might vote, well, for me, I'm going to get hurt on this.
No,
other
but
one.
he's saying that every player in the NFL would want to play on natural grass.
Yeah, it's
not
not
every
even
player
close.
in the NFL believes that this play, which I think is incredibly dirty.
But if they had the
is
choice
dirty.
between one or the other, I think it'd be maybe
Grass.
like 85-15.
I doubt it. Let's ask them. Put out a Twitter poll.
I'll tweet all the players.
Tag NFL.
Pat Mahomes, Mark Andrews, all these.
How many artificial turf stadiums are still in the NFL?
I'll take a quick look, see if I
Like,
can find it.
MetLife, like I just said.
There's a few. I'm actually
Buffalo.
surprised. I was surprised SoFi Stadium in LA was still
SoFi.
artificial turf. Cowboy Stadium's artificial. Mind you, some of those might change because the World Cup is coming. So Cowboy
Well,
Stadium's
they'll all
going
have
to go
to
to
put it
natural
in.
grass. LA's going to have to go to natural grass.
MetLife. if they're
Atlanta's
not.
going to have to go to natural grass.
Yeah, New Jersey, right?
15 stadiums that use artificial grass for their fields right now.
Yeah.
New
So
England. Yeah.
It's just easier to maintain.
Back to the hip drop, like it's going to be a little harder to tackle these guys. Do you think that could bring back the running back, the bigger back running back?
If out of this comes that, then I'm all in too, because I love the Mike Allstott, Ray Rice, Jamal.
Like a Jerome Bettis type world, I'm thinking, or like Jamal Lewis, because if it's
Christian Okoye.
yeah,
Remember him?
the bruising
he was big in
running back.
Tecmo when we played Tecmo with the Chiefs.
He just runs over people.
But could we see that resurgence where it's going to be difficult to bring these guys down? So why not get a couple more
there's
bigger
gonna have to
backs,
be-
hand it off, and we're going to see the resurgence of the running back again.
Perhaps, but we're gonna.
I would love that.
There's always you introduce one rule, or take out one, and then there's always kind of they'll come up with something else, another way to kind of do it, and like they're trying to make the game safe. I get that. There'll be something else. There'll be another innovation somehow that will, and then they're gonna go, oh, okay, we're gonna have to look at this now.
Yeah.
Well, and alternatively, when they protected the quarterbacks exponentially more with these new rules where you can't hit below the knee, the Tom Brady rule, right? And then they have you can't touch them essentially.
Certain quarterbacks.
After they throw the ball, right? That didn't lead to an
Cam Newton and Ben Roethlisberger never got that benefit of the doubt.
well, and there's still quarterbacks right now that don't get the benefit of the doubt, which is complete BS. But that didn't lead to a surge in quarterback passing yards. We haven't seen records broken in the years now that they've been protected. So I'm not sure, Matt, to answer that.
But we've seen Tom Brady and then, or who was it? Was it Peyton Manning, Drew Brees? Like we've seen guys set the record for most passing yards, career-wise.
That was pre this
And-
new head rule, though. Like that was before. This head rule's only been around like 3 years.
But the leg rule,
The leg rule,
because that was like 2012 or something like that. And the thing I would say is that it's now allowing quarterbacks to play much longer.
Sure.
Because we're seeing quarterbacks play into their 40s.
well, yeah, because
So now we're going to see these guys maybe
But
start
it's
playing
the
more, and we'll start seeing more of these records.
It's the
fall.
same thing. The NFL is about one thing and one thing only:
Money.
Money.
Yeah. Well, they're the best at it.
if you're protecting your assets, like any financial advisor would, you're going to create rules that would protect your assets and your product and your marketability of your assets to the nth degree. So when you think about the NFL as just money, it's easy to see why they're making these decisions.
Yeah.
Football is aside for them. Football is not, I guess, traditional football. And I admit, I'm a traditional old man football stance guy.
Yeah.
But that
I'm with you.
that is evolving even in my own head when I'm sitting down and watching Red Zone on Sundays, right?
I love the headshot. Like I was the Ravens fan. Ed Reed going and stuff for
Love the
like.
headshot.
Well, it was like you love those type of hits.
Well,
But nowadays I watch it, I see it, and like before it'd be like that was a great hit. You get out of your seat. Now you go, ooh, like is this guy like going to be okay?
Well,
It's completely
watch
changed.
some
how
of
we
those
are.
games or highlights of the 70s football.
Yeah.
Like those guys, like there's a guy called the Hammer who used to hammer, guys would catch a ball, fall down, and he'd just hammer them. Like he would just, that was his nickname, the Hammer, because I can't remember his real name, but I just remember him as the Hammer.
Is that Daryl Drawson?
It might have been. And he was called the Hammer because he would just, and then they outlawed that play where the guy was down. Instead of touching him down, he would just
Go right into
pound him.
He's
And that
Bone
was
Crusher.
his nickname for a
Well,
reason.
yeah, I have 3 All-Canadian rings because I used to take people's head off.
Well, when we had Jed Robertson, he talked about how there's that one play you had, I think it was out at UBC or something like that.
Simon Fraser.
It's Simon Fraser where he just destroyed the one guy.
Yeah, the kid was doing the funky chicken on the ground.
That's what football was. And we had,
That's what football was.
ESPN
And that was
used to do,
celebrated.
you got jacked up and they do the 5 biggest hits from the weekend.
Yeah,
which
for sure.
Generally featured
Sure.
some sort of
But
headshot
that's
in there.
why parents are saying, yeah, my
Yes.
kid's not playing football.
And that's one of the reasons I
He's
believe-
saying my kid's not playing football. I can't convince my sister. Like, and she's probably right. Like, I don't know if you'd want
well, the
to
numbers
take
are
the hits
there.
right?
And it's one of the reasons I've said for a number of years that when I'm an old man, football will not be the biggest sport in North America. Football will have
Well,
dropped.
there's still
Unless
a
they've completely
huge,
evolved.
there's a huge talent pool of football down because
There
it's
is,
a
but
way,
it's a slow process
because
of
it's
people
a way
not playing for it.
kids to get out from their situation right now.
But they'll go play
and
other
go to
sports.
college.
But they'll
They
go
should-
play
they
basketball
should play
now,
other
or they'll go
sports.
play
But
soccer.
there's only 12. See, the thing is with U.S. college football, it's an 85-man roster,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of room there for kids. Basketball is 12,
But the-
like it doesn't compare.
But the best athletes in the U.S. right now are going to football.
Yeah.
Eventually, those
Because
best
that's the way to get out.
athletes are
That's the
going to
best way
start
to get out.
playing the other sports.
Yeah, but the other sports don't have the financial payoff that football does because football is massive rosters.
But there's like Zion Williamson should have been a football player. He didn't go play football. Like Aaron
But
Judge.
he's a freak.
Like, I know, but
Like,
those freaks always go play football. They always went to go play football.
But now he's playing basketball because it's
Slowly over time, the best players, the Connor McDavids of the football world and the Connor McDards of the football world, they won't be playing football. They'll go play basketball. They'll go play soccer, and there still will be the talent pool for football. And I'm not saying football is going to go away.
No, there's a lot of kids.
There's
play
a lot of
football.
players that'll play it, but I don't think it'll be the number one sport anymore. When I'm like a senior citizen,
Baseball went through this. They were talking about that too. Why
Yes.
can't we get black athletes back into baseball? There's less black MLB players, and they're generally some of the best MLB players.
baseball used to be the biggest.
It used to be
It was
the biggest.
baseball,
So
horse racing, and
yeah.
boxing.
Horse racing.
In like the 70s, the 3 biggest sports in the U.S. was those 3, and those aren't. It's not that
Well,
way.
there's no
anymore. Things
baseball
change.
fields
Change
anymore. There's,
cycles.
like it's tough to find a baseball field now back in the states. Before they were all over the place, right? So it's tough. But I don't know. I just think it's the talent pool in football is so deep, and it's only American kids and some Canadian kids, right? There's no global.
It's not.
They're not coming.
Don't tell
from
that
Europe.
to Ambrosi.
Well, Ambrosi thinks that like he'd like the.
I love CFL 2.0. It was great. It was brilliant.
You won't see
It's
these
worked
kids,
so well.
these German kids or whatever.
Diego
these Mexican
Villamontes
kids,
or whatever.
Great.
You know?
Remember him?
At least you remember the name.
Yeah, was he was the DB or the
receiver.
kicker?
You know what's
He
crazy?
had the coffee shop.
The U of A.
I don't know if he still does.
The U of A does a really good job, and this is all under Chris Morris's direction. And why you're seeing the evolution of the Golden Bears football team right now is because they have this program called the Golden Bears Selects, which is a collection of U16, U18 athletes that they take and they put them through a camp, and then they go compete internationally. So they just sent a selects team down to the U.S. It was their top selects team. They went down to a tournament I think it was in Tampa, and they demolished every team but one. And the one team they lost to, it was a shootout, and they lost in the final. And you're playing against some of the best youth football players in Tampa and area, and you got a bunch of white dudes from Edmonton coming down there, right? That's pretty impressive.
That is impressive.
So the Canada football is becoming, I think it's going to follow the lead that Canada basketball started when Vince Carter started pumping energy into Canada basketball when he was with the Raptors. And I don't know, I think it's because now you're seeing that the NFL has a pile of Canadian players in it, and TSN does a good job of highlighting those players when they're doing the highlights and whatnot. The difference between American football and Canadian football is not as distant as it was, which is awesome for Canadian football in general and great for a team like the Bears. I just wish they would have beat UBC last year.
No,
Well, let's
they
not
had
go into
it.
that one. Let's,
It was there
That
in
game
the
was
palm of
won.
their
That
hand.
game was won, unfortunately.
That's just that hurts.
Who would have
picking
thought we'd
that
have
scab?
DVD and Tommy on today and we'd be talking football
Well, we
for
still
an
got
hour?
more.
Hell
We got a
yeah,
little more
man.
football to get
I love
into.
football.
Portions of the EST Hangout brought to you by the Hive Product Marketing, official merch partner of EST. Promotional products that bring the buzz. Check them out, thehiveproductmarketing.com. 15, 20 minutes or so away from the keyword for the EST flyaway, thanks to FlyYG and the LVCVA.
I bet you the Hive made this shirt.
Yep. Would have most likely done it.
Comfortable
they're,
shirt.
They're the official merch
Excellent.
partner
Feel
as
the
well
quality.
of Whale and the Wolf, who are the host band of EST. Kickoff rule changing also in the NFL, which is a rule change that the CFL is also, I think, considering. What it is, it's the XFL rule of XFL 2.0, which was XFL pre-COVID.
Yeah.
They've come from COVID. They didn't go back to this rule.
Weird.
I know. Vince McMahon knew what he was doing with this.
Well, he's canceled, so.
Yeah, he's very well.
And
the
he's
stuff on him is
he's
bad.
into some freaky stuff.
But so how the hybrid rule works is the defenders, if you will, they will line up at the opposition's 40. The blockers for the receiving team
The
will be
kickoff return
between
team?
the 30 and the 35, and then the returners are back where they usually are. And the kickoff, I believe, is from the 35. And you can't start blocking or defending or running after until the ball is caught.
Yeah.
And I remember when this was announced for the XFL, it was like, this is going to be stupid. But it actually worked really well.
Yes.
It saw a return of kickoffs. It had wide acclaim. Now the NFL has unanimously adopted it today. And like I said, the CFL is looking at it.
Great.
Do you guys like these rules?
Yeah, the kickoff is a very dangerous. Like
Yeah.
to be able to stand there and catch a ball while guys are running 100 miles an hour at you is dangerous. And not only that is the guys that are blocking,
blocking.
that are guys that are coming 100 miles an hour at you. I watched the XFL with that kickoff, and
Yeah.
I'm like, actually, that's a good idea.
Yes,
I remember watching that, and I was like, you're right. I was like, how's this going to work? And then I thought, that actually works. It's actually a good idea.
Yes.
It's like a play. It's like instead of normal just running down the field, you wait. Okay, now we're running a play, and I think it works, and I think that it'll bring back the kickoff return to the NFL because
They don't have any.
They almost are trying to eliminate that. You got kickers now that are booting the ball through the uprights from 65 yards away. So they were always just, it was a touchback. It's
brutal.
There was no point.
And they go to commercial every
Yeah,
time.
there was like, it was almost like, why even have the kickoff? Just start the game at 20,
Which
25
they,
yard line.
as you said, they considered that.
Yeah.
That was a couple years ago. They talked about just you
Yeah,
start
just-
with the ball.
Just getting rid of the kickoff. Like, because everyone's kicking it through the end zone. That plays going. But now there is obviously an excitement to a kickoff return, to a punt return, to things like that. So I think they realize, okay, we need to somehow bring this back after eliminating it. We need to bring back, and there's guys in the NFL, that's all they do is punt and kick return, right?
Yeah.
They call them the Suicide Squad for a reason. That's what they were called, the Suicide Squad. The guy, if you're on a punt return, you're on
It's
Suicide
a
Squad.
high-speed collision.
It is.
Those guys are running
They're-
like
they're-
30, 40 yards
they're
before they
getting
get to you,
hammered,
and
yeah.
then you're just you
Yeah.
don't get, you're not running towards them.
No.
You're just waiting for them.
You're
and
waiting for
they're
them to
just
plow you.
coming into you.
Yeah. So it's
I think the kickoff team, like the guys kicking the ball, were the guys that, you could, if you were on kickoff return, you could really tee up one of those guys too.
Oh,
yeah.
Because they would be running their lane. Because in kickoff cover, you have a lane that you're supposed to cover, and you better not get out of that lane because guess who's coming through it? The returner. But your focus is that way. If you have a guy come this way at you from the side, you can knock someone's block off. My brother-in-law got knocked out at Husky Stadium in Saskatoon on that exact reason. But this rule, I love it. Because there's stipulations to this rule. If your kicker kicks it and it lands in the end zone, that's almost like kicking it out of bounds in the current format. They get the ball on the 40. You start with the 40. If you kick it into the end zone.
Yep.
If you kick it into the landing zone. And
Which is from goal line to 20.
Yeah, the landing zone is the goal line to the 20-yard line. So it's a moonshot, essentially, for these kickers now. Then the returner can either return it or he can let it drop and take a dead ball, and they get it on, I think, the 35.
No, I'm just trying. 20. I'm trying to read one thing. 25 yards from spotted kick or
corner of the
something.
team.
Well,
Kind of like a punt.
The exact kick you want to do is kick it off, but you can't kick it out of bounds either. Right. But it depends, and this is where the excitement comes in, because now this totally changes the scheme for a special teams coordinator. Before, as I was saying earlier, you would have guys running in their lanes, and then the kickoff return would have guys picking those guys off and setting a lot of the structure in a kickoff return for a special teams coordinator is crossing through people, guys coming from across the field to kick this guy out and create a lane. Right, that's why you see these kick returns that go back for touchdowns, like Devin Hester-esque, right, back in the day, where the seam just opens.
Yeah,
that's a lot of premeditated and cross blocking, and you're picking guys off. This, now that they're lined up essentially 10 yards from each other, that must just have these special 5 yards from each other. I mean, I think
trash talk beforehand.
I think you're going to see a lot of kickoff returns. Like the kickoff return average is going to go. Through the roof.
So the landing zone, we're talking. So if it's short of the landing zone, it's treated like out of bounds. You get it at the 40. If it hits the landing zone, must be returned. No fair catches are allowed. If it hits the landing zone and then goes into the end zone, it must be returned or downed by the receiving team. If down, the touchback and touchback, it goes to the 20. If it hits the end zone, stays in bounds. Returned or down. If down, then touchback to the 30. So they could return it still, but if they take the touchback, it goes to the 30. And if it goes to the back of the end zone, in the air or bounces, touchback to the 30. So there's all sorts of different things. Onside kick, by the way, fourth quarter begins. The team trailing has the opportunity to declare an onside kick to officials, and then current rules would apply. So it looks like you can only do an onside kick in the fourth quarter.
That's interesting.
It had such a low percentage play.
Well, you can't surprise anyone with an onside.
Well, you can't surprise anybody. You know, the Indianapolis Colts won the Super Bowl that year when they came out in the second half and kicked that short kick, right? Well, you can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
No, Saints over the Colts.
Saints, sorry. Yeah. Saints did that to the Colts. My apologies. Yeah. But I think as far as the game is considered, it's reducing, because you're right, DVD. That was a bloodshed coming down on both sides. You have 250, 260, 300-pound guys running 4'6", 4'5", running directly into each other.
Yeah.
And now you're eliminating that. You're starting it off closer. I think there's going to be a lot more jostling. And I'm just interested to see. It kind of makes me interested. Like, this preseason will be interesting to watch. Because this rule change is, it will just.
I hate preseason football.
Me too. But with this new kickoff change, I want to see how it works. Because it's the Wild West. Like, this has never been done in the NFL. I mean, there's going to be a lot of film study done on the XFL. I'll tell you that.
Well, I tell you what, when they did it in the XFL, I think a lot of people were curious, and then I think the reception to it was
good.
Like, the XFL has done some dumb things, right? But I remember when they started, we're getting rid of pass interference. No pass interference, and no one was catching any balls. Okay, maybe we'll have to pass interference.
No kidding.
But I think this is a rule that someone came up with, an idea someone came up with, and it's a very good idea. And the NFL said, okay, that's a good idea. Like, there are some ideas that are good ideas.
Well, if you think of it in the first one too, they had a couple things that lasted. Their very first iteration. The Skycam was one of the things. As crazy as that whole thing has always been, and I don't know if it's still going to last with the UFL now. They have a legacy of bringing certain things to CFL or the NFL.
Yeah.
Well, and if you think about it, it's doing two positives for the NFL. It's increasing player safety, and it's also bringing back the kickoff.
Yeah.
Right? Where you're going to be rewarded, and for the kicker to be rewarded for a good kick, you're going to be rewarded for the returner to return it.
Yeah.
Right? But my mind is just a Twitter right now, the thinking of how they're going to draw up these schemes and how it's just going to be different. But I think you're going to see the returning yards go up considerably.
What I find fascinating, though, is like the NFL, it seems like most people are going to be like, this is a great idea. But the CFL community has been like against this as it's been discussed. The idea of going to this.
Well,
and because there is a little bit of a return. There still is a return game in the CFL.
Because the field's a little bigger.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a bit more room. You got guys running down at you. I think the punt rules, like the 5 yards, is that's something that the NFL looked at and is like, for whatever, we don't like it. Right? I think it's great. It gives you an opportunity to
force the
return. Football. Yeah. They do that in college football now where you got to give them a 3-yard window, I think, is the 3-yard halo or whatever they call it. The return is an exciting part of football. And if you're paying these returner guys, but they never get to return the football, then what's the point, right? Yeah. What's the point of having these Devin Hester type players if you can't use him. And I think that's the owner saying, I have this guy, he's a great kick returner. He's
But he can't do
unbelievable,
anything.
but we
Not on
can't
kickoffs, only
showcase him.
punts.
Yeah.
Well, and the CFL is not in jeopardy of anybody kicking it into the end zone.
No, I know, but it's one of those. I'm just, if it helps with player safety, it's not going to kill the kickoff return. So I have no problem with it coming to the CFL.
But if it's
Like,
if it's not broken, why do you need
Yeah,
to
but
fix
there's
it?
no issue in the
we're
CFL.
because we're talking about still the collision.
Yeah, but the collisions
Right?
aren't
And
as
that's the thing.
extreme. They
So-
don't seem as extreme in the CFL.
But it's
Because just
still,
because
if
the
you
field is
could
a little
take
bigger.
away the idea
you could run
of-
around a guy in the CFL.
You can still
you have
destroy
to run
someone,
through
though.
a guy in the NFL.
And they do get destroyed.
And that's the thing. If this is all about, like, if the NFL is looking at this because it's a player safety, and yeah, it brings back the kick return. I think the CFL is one of those leagues that should be looking at, well, the player safety. We have a kick return, but we can still have a kickoff return, but we're going to protect our players a little bit more.
You know
Because
why?
the one league, the CFL, they're the league that can't afford lawsuits. The NFL can afford future lawsuits if things keep coming up, like we've seen with concussion lawsuits. CFL can't afford that.
Because the NFL or the CFL doesn't care about player safety.
No, but the CFL is discussing it. It's the people that cover it or love it that are completely opposed to it right now. Whereas the NFL, it's just like from the whole community, it's like, yes, let's do this. This is great. And now maybe it's because they don't have the
It's
kickoffs
apples
right
to
now.
oranges.
But it's
Comparing
player
the
safety, player safety.
No,
Yeah.
I just don't think. I don't think the kickoff is as dangerous in the CFL just because there's more room to run.
There has to be stats. There have to be stats
Yeah.
on it in the CFL.
There's just
like-
more room. You can run around a guy in the CFL. You don't have to run through him. In the NFL, you got to run through him. There's
But you still got that extra
11
10
guys
yards
in a
where
lane. You got to run through
It's
a
a
guy.
little bit more speed you could gain, and you could get absolutely destroyed. And if that's the issue of kickoff, I say bring it to the CFL.
I think the issue
Bring it
kickoff
to
is
the
more
CFL.
with the guys blocking than it is with the guys running the ball back.
100%. But that's the thing. Like that's still the same type of thing with the CFL.
Yeah.
And while you could get around a defender, but you still could get as you're running down the field, the one
The
blocker
boss,
coming and destroying you, or you might not be able to run around that guy and he destroys you, and that's the issue. And so if let's
The
bring the player
blindside hit-
safety.
the blindside hit-
It's not
no.
going to change. Like it's not going to hurt the Canadian
no,
football
but the
league game.
blindside hit was something that, was a big thing back in my day. If you caught a guy in his ear hole, you could do something. And I did a couple times too. We ran
Yeah,
some
you
reverses
dirty.
where I was allowed to just lay off. We'd run the reverse, and I went straight to the defensive back, looking at the running back. And I laid out some DBs. Back then, I was a big quarterback, right? There was smaller DBs. I laid out some guys pretty good back in my day.
Do you remember, like, not so long ago, watching football and be like, man, he killed that guy, and you laugh. Now you're like, oh no, that guy might be
You
dead.
might be really. Yeah.
It's funny how it's changed, but yeah, I like the safety aspect of it, but I do miss.
But we're
the
all
crazy
football
big
fans
hits.
here. We love the CFL, love
Yeah.
the NFL. We're huge football fans. And
Well, you're now conditioned to not see those hits as much. So when you do, it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
is that guy going to be alive?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, 10 years ago, that hit happened 3 times a quarter.
And you're just like,
You're like, yeah, he got jacked up.
yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
It was
Well,
a
the
great
one
segment.
hit that I didn't
Celebrated
like
it. It
was amazing.
was it that playoff game where the receiver went up to catch the ball and he got taken out at the knees, blew both of his knees out. And then the
that's
quarterback got right into the DB's face. I can't remember what game that was. It was a playoff game.
Yeah,
That's
maybe-
the next one that goes.
Maybe don't put the ball there then.
Well, it's a bad throw, yes.
Yeah.
but- yeah. Take it.
There's a couple of texts that had come in. Chris from Fort Mac said kickoffs are pointless. Yes, that's why they want to make this rule change. And then Chris from Fort Mac also said, I chop blocked a dude from AOB and broke his leg in high school.
Not the Crusaders.
What was the other
that's
one?
where the chop block's legal.
Bootski says Fred the Hammer Williamson with the Chiefs. That's the guy you're thinking about?
That's the guy. Yeah. They used to call him the Hammer.
Collingwood Rob.
Williamson.
Collingwood Rob says the hip drop tackle never existed in the 80s. The art of tackling has been lost when you had to be able to tackle through the player's body without using your helmet as a weapon. Shoestring tackles, knee tackles, shoulder through the midsection or shoulder through the chest. Watch old tape and listen to Shannon Sharp's take on the hip drop tackle. Collingwood Rob.
We will get to our keyword momentarily here. I also just a salty turtle in the inbox says, "Hey gents, Griff soccer alum here. Coach Big Mer Orvis is being posthumously inducted into the ACAC Hall of Fame on May 10th. It's a great honor for a great man who was the longest serving coach in Griffin's men's soccer history. 112 out of 179 regular season games. 3-time ACAC Coach of the Year, 2-time ACAC Championship, national bronze medalist in 06. That coming in from Salty
Yeah, he
Turtle.
was my coach back in the day.
So he's going to the Hall of Fame. May
That's
10th.
awesome. Good for him. Good for him. Good guy. Friends with his friend son Dale. So yeah, good guy.
It is time now for the keyword for the EST Flyaway to Las Vegas. 2 nonstop flights, 3 nights accommodation, tickets to Cirque presented by our partners in Vegas, the LVCVA, as well as FlyYEG, the Edmonton International Airport. Nonstop flights to over 50 destinations, including Atlanta. Your sports trip starts with a nonstop flight from FlyYEG. Visit flyyeg.com for more information. Get your phone out. 780-218-9999 is where you're going to want to text this keyword, Mirage. Mirage is in the Mirage Hotel in Las Vegas. Mirage, Mirage. Text that to 780-218-9999. Why isn't it coming up on my screen?
You broke it.
Well, I got to...
You broke it.
Try. Oh, no, it's not wanting to go over at all. This isn't good at all. Well, you know how to spell it.
Mirage.
We'll just stick with it that way.
It's where the Griswolds stayed in Vegas
I think
vacation.
I got this figured out for the YouTube people. No, it doesn't want to show up. Okay, that's cool.
Broke it.
Mirage, Mirage. Text it to 780-218-9999. YouTube Trev will call someone in about 5 minutes or so. We'll speak to them on the show. And it's pretty small typing. You got to turn it. It's all white screen that you're showing there, Jay.
Can't see it.
No, bring it down there.
Fix it, Jay.
It's not good. Text it.
Mirage.
And you could be the qualifier today here on the EST Hangout. We'll have 2 more chances to qualify later today on the Lock Shop, as well as 2 guys and a goalie.
Speaking of, it sounds like flights to Atlanta are cheaper than tickets are to that game right now. I was looking up tickets last night to go see Messi play Canada, and I think they start at $350 US.
Ooh.
Did you get your tickets yet?
No,
Matthew?
but I'm waiting for the supporters section. I'm assuming they're going to have tickets.
Yes.
And I finally got it on screen. So that's what I'm waiting for. And
Yeah, because I was looking for...
Are you part of the Voyagers?
I was... No, you know what? I'm not. I was part of the green... Canada Red and Gold Club. But that expired.
Okay.
I was prior to the World Cup, I joined the Canada Red and Gold, just be part of the supporters group. I wasn't paying for World Cup tickets, but I know some people that were going, so it helped me get some World Cup tickets for some people that were in Qatar. They were already there, and some that were going. So.
Man, you watched a dude die right in front of you in Qatar.
I'm
blown
the
away
Grant
by
Wall.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
were there
I
for
was
the
in front of Grant Wall. Huh?
You were there with...
I was,
He
he
was
was well, not video of him dying.
Well, no,
I
because-
have video of people working on him. Like he was 2 rows in front of me when he passed away.
It's messed
What happened?
up.
So
man,
Grant Wall
it's
had a
not
heart
good.
attack at one of the games
Netherlands,
in
Argentina.
Netherlands, Argentina, and then it was a massive heart
Yeah.
attack. And then all the firefighters and the EMT and everyone was kind of working on him while the game was going on.
Because it was
And a
extra
shootout.
time.
It was
penalty
extra,
kicks.
and we were like literally 2 rows ahead of
He
him.
was the voice of soccer,
In
writing
the
wise,
United
in the
States.
United States. Like, he was a massive
Yeah.
deal.
So he's a big deal in the United States when it came to soccer.
Sports Illustrated, he was. Was he still
Yeah,
with Sports
I
No, he was
don't
writing. He had
know.
his own thing at the
He
time.
left Sports Illustrated because during the pandemic they asked him to take a pay cut
Yeah.
and he refused, so he left.
Yeah.
Or he got fired. I think it was one of the two or whatever it was.
Yeah,
But
he had his own like blog or website.
Yeah,
not
and then
blog,
he did
but
he did his
website.
own
Yeah.
website blog. So
It's
he
like
was
a
covering the
Substack
World
or
Cup
something.
there on his own. But yeah, but the World
That's
Cup
messed
itself was. It's funny because they have that Messi documentary on Apple TV now talking about Messi at the World Cup, and I was watching it the other day, and I was like, I was at that game. So it's kind of interesting.
Tell the part about Messi coming out late in the night to do interviews, because you know how even like hockey or baseball, basketball, whatever, our sports guys refuse. You got like the biggest athlete in the world.
The thing is with Messi, for that whatever reason, that World Cup, it was his World Cup, but he was doing a lot of media availability. He was going to do as much as he could. So similar to France, I was telling Jay about this when I was covering the Women's World Cup in France. It was so hot in France that the game started at 10 o'clock at night. It was the same thing in Qatar. It was so hot in the day and during the evenings that the kickoffs were late. Even though the stadiums were all air conditioned. It was unbelievable. They have air conditioning in the stadium. The game started at 10 o'clock. So it was this quarterfinal with the Netherlands. It started at 10. It went to like 1 o'clock in the morning. And then Messi did a media avail at 2 in the morning. And then I was still writing. It was like 2 in the morning. I was still writing. And then I heard a rumor that, hey, Messi might come through the mix zone. So stick around the mix zone. Somebody said that rumor kind of was like, really? That'd be cool. So there was about 25 Argentine journalists and myself. I decided to stay. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, sure enough, here comes Messi through the mix zone and was able to get in on that scrum. So it was pretty cool. I was like, oh my God, there's Leo Messi. So it was an interesting, and then I think I got home at like 4:30 in the morning that day. It was one of the longest days I've ever put in. Go back to my place at 4:30 in the morning. I was like, that was the day Grant Wall passed away.
Yeah.
So I was like, this was the craziest day of my life. Like it was, and it started at 10 a.m. because there was a couple games before that.
And in Qatar, like you could get to all the games.
Yes,
Many
because
World Cups, it's all over. You can't do multiple games in a day because Qatar is so small.
Qatar's so
you
small.
can hit all of them.
There's essentially 8 stadiums within half hour of each other.
Yep.
So if you're the main center, they're all like, I think the furthest one was an hour and 15 minutes away. So you can go to a game, get on a bus, and go to the next game. Like you could just. So I think I saw 36 games. 36 of the 52 or games, something like that.
You know what's crazy too is they built that one stadium out of shipping container cases, and they're gonna dismantle it and set it up in Morocco for 2030.
They did dismantle it.
Yeah.
And then,
And they're gonna use it again.
It was a great,
It's like a mobile stadium.
These shipping containers are a fantastic stadium. Like it's too bad that they tore it apart.
Well,
And
they're putting it up in Morocco for the World
They
Cup.
did a lot of like the stadiums, and then they kind of downsized the stadiums after.
I hate what's happening with the World Cups moving forward, so I don't want to get
No,
into
it's not
those
good.
ones.
No, it's not good. But
Basically, Saudi Arabia bought the 2034 World
yeah,
Cup.
they did.
So, and then the way FIFA could get around that was in 2030, Spain, Portugal, Morocco were getting it, and then but there was South American countries wanted too because it was going to be the 100th anniversary. So Uruguay, Argentina, and
I think
I can't remember who the third is. It Chile?
no,
Or
I don't think Chile. I think it might be just Uruguay and Argentina, to be honest.
But they get games, and they're only getting a couple of games to start. But now that they've hit all these continents, they have rules in FIFA that you can't go to the same continent the next one or something.
No,
so now it eliminates every other spot. So the only person who could bid for 2034 is Saudi Arabia. And naturally, we're going to Saudi Arabia in 2034 because they're uncontested for that bid. Shocking, FIFA.
Well, no, it's FIFA's corrupt. No kidding. But
it's just-
the rule was that if you had a World Cup in one continent, you had to go to the other continents before you can come back to that continent. But the Saudis threw so much. They just had it in that region, right? They just had it in Qatar. So technically, they couldn't come back for another 5 cycles because they had to go to Europe, they had to go to South America, they had to go to Africa, they had to go to Asia.
Yeah.
Then they can come back to. So they said, well, how do we circumvent this? And well,
So
let's just have a
FIFA.
game in 4 continents, and then we can come back to, hey, money talks, man.
That entire one should have been in South America for the 100th.
Yeah.
It should have been.
Should have been in
That's
Uruguay.
all where it should have been. We should have been all watching that in
should have been in
2030. And then
Uruguay.
it went to Europe the year after.
Yeah.
Or 4 years later. But
But that's
Saudi
the
gets
thing.
in and it's FIFA and it's
It's the money.
a
Money
complete
talks.
mess.
Hey,
But yeah,
what-
Voyagers, you might want to get on that.
I
Get on
think I
tickets.
need to get on that.
Because like there'll be a day when those tickets go on sale, and
Those should
it's
be coming up
probably
soon.
gonna be during the show, and I'll have my laptop
Yeah,
out and
yeah,
be like,
no.
somebody, I got to get my tickets.
You gotta
'cause
get on that. So
Otherwise, I have to pay those extra prices.
Well, yeah, no. I was like I said, I was involved in the Canada Red and Gold. I don't know if that's involved. My pipeline to Canada Soccer has been lost because everything that I did through Canada Soccer was through my Post Media email, and the day I left Post Media, gone.
Yeah.
No access to that email anymore. So I'm sure I'm still getting all these emails from Canada
Oh,
Soccer,
no.
and but I have no access to them anymore.
Right.
Because my email now it's an NHL email now. Post they cut it off like the day I left.
Of course.
Ours got cut off when we got let go.
Oh,
But
yeah.
My cell phone, I was connected to work, and for like 48 hours, I was still getting emails. So I was forwarding emails to myself and grabbing some things that I needed and changed some passwords from some other places, but was able to get like to update your password with the email to the other one, and then I lost it. I was like, oh, well, I got it for a short period.
Oh no, I have a couple of streaming services that were connected to that Post Media email, and now I can't use the streaming services
That's tough.
because they say, "Oh, you have to reset your password," but they're sending me emails to.
I wanted to say one thing. I've watched the highlights from the Saudi Arabian Soccer League, and you know how they throw money at guys and they're playing there? It is a joke. It's
trash.
It is a joke.
Well, it's funny you say the Saudi Arabian League is a joke, but Messi and Miami went to go play in the Saudi Arabian exhibition games and they got destroyed.
Wow.
So that tells you about the MLS a little bit.
Oh boy.
I still take MLS over the Saudi League.
Well, probably, but
It's look, MLS, like Messi's doing amazing things in MLS. He ain't doing that anywhere else. Though, like it's partly because
'Cause it's
of
a
the league.
terrible
Like
league.
you watch some of the goals that people are like, "Oh my god, what a goal!" And you're also like, "There's no chance that like a goalie in France still is allowing that to go in." Type thing. We've got our qualifier for the EST Flyway to Las Vegas, I believe. Who do we got on the line, Trev? Sheldon is our qualifier. Congratulations, Sheldon. You ever been to Vegas before?
Yeah, it's been a few years.
Been a few years?
More than a decade, actually.
Oh, more than a decade. So what's the first thing you want to do if you head back to Vegas if you're the big winner on the 26th?
crush some drinks.
Crush. I love that. Are you a bettor? Are you a shows guy? What do you love to do in Vegas?
A little bit of everything. It's just sights and sounds, and I'd probably be booking for F1 weekends. So.
Ooh, very smart. Gager's going to love you for that one. And he'll probably then try to see if you could get you to take him with you. Well, congratulations, Sheldon. You're the qualifier. Keep your phone on morning of the 26th, because if you're the winner, the boys will call you and let you know that you're off to Vegas.
Awesome. Thanks, Matty.
And there's Sheldon, our qualifier. Next chance to qualify for the EST Flyaway, thanks to FlyYG and the LVCVA coming up during the Lock Shop with Dusty and Huss. He wants to go F1 weekend. So that was good.
Yeah, I figured
if
as
you
much.
are the winner. You've got 2 months to book your trip. You could travel within a year. So you get to plan around what you want to do when it comes to the EST Flyaway. Again, we're qualifying until the 25th of April, 26th. On the morning show, we'll do the grand prize draw. But you'll have to keep your phone on that day, because the boys will call until we get a winner. So you don't want to miss that call on the 26th and then look at your, be like, I missed the call, because you would have been going to Vegas.
Would you guys leave a voicemail if?
Nope, we go to the next caller.
You should leave a voicemail.
No, we go to the next caller.
Too bad you didn't pick up your phone. You lose a trip to Vegas.
Yeah.
Oh, you want us to say?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I won't go that far.
Why not?
That's cruel.
I
That's
know.
cruel.
And so is not answering your phone on the
Yeah,
day of the
but
competition.
they'll know. They'll know. They don't need to be rubbed in.
Yeah.
We don't
They'll
need to
feel
put
shame.
salt in the wound on that one.
Just have Eric come on and say sorry.
Yeah, and then hit the conch whistle.
Oh yeah, the conch whistle. Yeah, that should just be it.
But we will. So yeah, keep your phone on. The grand prize draw will happen between 7 and 8 o'clock in the morning that day.
So you were talking about ticket prices for the World Cup or the Euro
Copa America.
Copa America,
Get it right.
right? Yeah, sorry. I'm
Euros is somewhere else, and the World Cup's in 2 years.
Such
Jay.
a big
Come
football
on.
guy.
And we got Gold Cup next year.
What about ticket prices in our own backyard?
Oh,
Tom?
you want to go there, huh? I like it.
Talked about it a little bit outside before this show.
So there's some upset season ticket holders.
This is hockey.
The hockey, Oilers. So the prices came out for the playoffs. They've been bumped up. Naturally, they're bumped up, but I just don't think that season ticket holders were expecting it to increase as high as they did for this year's playoffs. And so there's a lot of longtime season ticket holders that have been loyal to this team. Like this team is funny. I love that loyalty. Right,
That was my favorite slogan when they came out. Loyalty with the oil, because if anyone's not been loyal,
Well,
it's been the team to the fans.
It's got to work both ways.
Loyalty's only gone one way in that situation.
I feel so bad for the fans that buy the loyalty gear. And I'm like,
you know what? We were talking about this. Yes, they increased the ticket prices, and there's always there every year there's a shock.
Sticker shock.
There's a sticker shock. Oh my God, what's it going to cost me to go to the playoffs? What's it going to cost me? But we were talking about this, and you obviously, as a businessman, it's supply and demand, right? Like there are people that will pay those prices. And unfortunately, yeah.
Do you want me to read this example?
It's up to you. Yeah.
Season ticket holder sent this to me yesterday or 2 days ago. Said, "Hey Tom, not sure the price of playoff tickets has come up amongst the conversation with EST/fans. I'll flip you this year's playoff prices and last year's, so you have the actual info
that's
if the
good.
conversion or conversation arises. One example of my seats: if the Oilers got to round 4 last year, a home playoff game would have been $1,032 per seat. Yes, $2,064 per game. This year, the round 4 prices for my tickets will be $1,545 per seat.
increase.
That's over $3,000 for 2 people per game at face value
It's a 50%
prices,
increase.
not resale. Nuts. Over a 30% increase in 1 year. I am not sure how any organization can ever justify that kind of increase." And then I've got the entire chart from last year to
I'll
this year.
justify it. People are going to pay it. If the Oilers are in the Stanley Cup final, every single seat will have been paid for.
True, but then what happens? So the team says, well, they appreciate the loyalty. So what happens when the team suddenly drops off? There will be a drop off, and you say to your season ticket holder base, well, when things were good, we went like this. When things are bad, are they gonna?
No.
No, nothing ever comes down.
Right.
But they won't like. Now the raise in season ticket prices is going to be a little more challenging. You'll probably only get the 1-2% increase per year for cost of living type thing that they might go with. You won't be able to increase it 10-11%, but you've also increased it so much. And then you'll see that will season tickets holders throw their tickets back when the Oilers eventually get bad? if that day comes,
Yeah.
then that's going to be their problem. But right now, take as much cash as you can. Because again, for the playoffs, everyone's going to buy those tickets.
Well,
that's how it's going to go.
yeah, I get that.
I like the one time I was really mad at the Oilers was the first year they made the playoffs. Because after 10 years, they jumped it up quite a bit. And I was like, that's where I was upset with there's no loyalty the other way. This franchise was loyal to you through so many bad years.
Yeah.
First playoff year, I expect a bump, but the bump that they had was just something I was like, that's ridiculous. You couldn't just go for a little bit, especially for the first couple of rounds.
Yeah.
But this one,
they're raking
people are
it
gonna pay
in the
for it.
playoffs. I remember that 17 run, and it was just like a gold mine, and everyone was like, but they spent a lot too. They were spending money stupidly. And then the next year, there was like monster cuts at OEG. And a lot of it was because they spent
they
dumb
missed the
money.
playoffs, yeah,
and they missed the playoffs. They were expecting to make it to the second round in 17-18. Didn't even make the playoffs, and there was like massive layoffs. They had like a red wedding. Someone called it the Red Thursday at OEG, where they had like 100 and something staff go up to the offices, and then they tricked them basically. And the people they were letting go would have to go into the offices. The HR person would pick them up out of the elevator with the security person, and then everybody had a all staff meeting in the club level at the arena and didn't know what was going on in the offices. So that had to do with poor planning, dumb spending, even though they were just raking it in.
I think the issue is that like you're going after your season ticket base and you're increasing the, and I think those people are, hey, we've been loyal to you for a long time here, and then first chance you get to stick it to us, you're doing that. I think that's what they're upset. I think if you just a general ticket, if a schmo like me or you wanted to go, okay, I understand, like but I think it's because they went after their core, their base people, and I think that's what the season ticket holders are upset about. Like,
Because-
yes, it's supply and demand. I get that. But these guys they're the pillar of your fan group, right? They're the reason, right? You're here. And then I think maybe they're upset that they had gone after them.
The Oilers have taken advantage of loyalty from their fan base and their season ticket base. But there does come a point where it's okay if you are upset, tell them. And there's one way to tell.
I'm sure they've been telling them.
But there's the real way to tell them is to not give them your credit card.
Don't buy the tickets.
You don't.
Yeah.
That's the true way to not tell them. You could sit there and tell your season ticket rep, I'm upset by this, but they're just gonna hang up the phone and go, "You're gonna be paying for this right away here, though," and I'm laughing or our franchise is laughing because you're still paying. Be upset all you want.
Those poor
You're
refs,
still
they've
buying
probably
it.
got a bunch of
I wanted
But
to
it's
say
just
something
like-
about that.
Yeah.
It's just one of those where though, until people finally go, take them. I'm not buying that.
Yeah.
Take them. I'm out.
Yeah.
The Oilers aren't gonna keep doing this because they can.
Yeah, and I just want to say something about, you brought it up with the rep that you're getting. They're usually like a 23-year-old kid fresh out of university, and that's their first gig. So if you're going to go and lay into the organization and you tear into that kid, like, those kids are damaged, man.
Yeah.
I remember they turn and burn them out of the ticketing department so bad. Keep that in mind when you rip into them.
Yeah.
But
Don't yell at the rep. They're just they're just a cog in the
do
wheel.
not
Don't yell at
feel,
any
I
salesperson.
feel so bad for those kids because that ticketing department just
people.
gets crushed, and it's just these young kids.
Yeah.
Their first job, they think they're working for an NHL team, and it's prestigious. And then, rightly so, season ticket holders are getting mad, and unfortunately, these kids, they're the reps, pardon me,
Yeah.
and then they get the brunt of it. It's not the people making the decisions. So just something to keep in mind when you're about to see red and rip someone's head off. It's usually a kid that.
For anyone in service, I stand by that. Whether you're a restaurant, wherever, be nice.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, and then think of now what that's going to do to the resale market,
Oh, it's gonna blow up.
Yeah.
right?
It's insane.
So if you were planning on going to an Oilers postseason game, you better pony up another $500 per seat.
But this is what's going to happen, though, is that season ticket holders, you're going to put it up a game for sale. You'll pay for your 2 games. You won't have gone to one, but you'll go to the next one for free. Because you'll have sold the first one.
Yeah, if you're able to sell.
And you could balance, and there will be so many to do that, and it's all going to balance out for them, or if they want to. And then the people that are really paying is everyone else that doesn't have season
Well, are you
tickets.
pricing out as a percentage of your fans?
100% you are.
Right.
It is a premium product to go to another game nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know the best way to word this, but a lot of fans can't go to see the Oilers anymore.
Yeah.
In general, regular season playoffs, just overall, they can't go see their team play live in Edmonton. They have to fly to another city because it's cheaper to go buy tickets so they can watch the Edmonton Oilers play.
Arizona, Anaheim, and San Jose right now, those are the places where you want to go because the tickets are cheap, the buildings aren't full, and it's warmer and nicer there, and it's a great way to do a vacation. You could probably, what you'd spend for one Oiler game with these prices that we're discussing right now, you could probably do a whole vacation to Phoenix or Vegas. Vegas is expensive still because that team's good, but if you went to Anaheim, did a Disneyland trip, probably more bang for your buck, and you get an Oiler game in there too.
I think too at playoff time, it's really when it hits home that this is a business, right? I think that's kind of okay. This is a business. Like you got to pay those contracts, you got to pay those costs. But I think at the playoff time is gravy time for this organization. They don't do their budget. They can't possibly do their budget with playoff. Because that's bonus money.
In mind?
Yeah.
Well, they did. 17,
Well, they
18,
did.
they
They made-
100.
they
They
made
were
that
you hope
mistake.
that
making
they've
it to
learned.
the second
Yeah,
round.
they made
yeah.
that mistake that
Well,
time.
or at the very least, hopefully there's a couple of budgets
Yeah.
that you're following.
Playoff
That
or
if we're going to
non-playoff
make the
budget.
playoffs this year, this is what we're expecting. This
Yeah.
is what we can have, and you see where you can go with it. I will say the one thing too about Oilers playoffs though that hurts now is that they've gotten the Moss Pit and they've had the fan park, and they go people inside the rink for away games and stuff. And the one downfall to that though is as great as it is bringing everyone together.
Yeah.
You're taking people away from the bars. You're taking people away from the
Restaurants.
other spots to go watch these games that historically have been the places you go.
Yeah.
Because now everyone wants to go to Rogers. They everyone want to go to Ice District, and you're gonna like
I think the bars and restaurants are still pretty full, though. I think,
but they could be more.
Well, I don't know.
But
how
how many people like of that Moss Pit and of that fan park? What would those people have done if you don't have those?
But what percentage of those people are under 18, or is it over only 18?
There's adult or the areas where they serve, I think.
Is there?
Something like that. But if you're smart and like, listen, I love the idea of the plaza and the fan park and all that. People want to be close to it, and that's cool because there's a legit vibe to it. But if you're smart, you check it out and you go there once and you're like, I'm not waiting 25 minutes for a damn beer that's a $3.55 mil and I'm still paying $10 for. And then you try to go to the bathrooms. There's not enough bathrooms. There's nasty porta potties. People are getting their fingers bit off. Like, I'm going and I'm looking. I'm like, there's a bar, local owner. I'd rather go take advantage of those deals, watch the game instead of sit in a sweaty, crowded area, a bunch of idiots that are peeing their pants
Stand in a
because
sweaty
But
they're peeing their pants.
people want to be with everyone else.
I know, but you're
And
still
that's the
around
party.
it. Like it. I don't know, man. Like
I mean,
There's a balance. There's gotta be a
there's
happy
balance, but I
medium
think
there.
there's enough to go around there. I don't think any bar owners were complaining. I could be wrong, but I think they want, like, to be honest, like playoffs. I think everyone kind of wins in the playoffs. To be honest, I think the restaurants, the bars are full. Like, you can't get into Boston Pizzas before a game. You can't get into Ice House before a game. You can't get into Mercer before a game.
Yeah.
Like, it's just busy,
away
busy.
Home and away, yeah.
Sorry, home and away. My apologies. You can't get into Kelly's before a game.
But that's all right there.
unless
What
you're
about
DVD.
the bars further away? That because before
I
there
don't
was no central location.
So you think the bars
go
further
all
away
over the
are-
place, but now there's people that are going. I'm heading to the rink. I'm not
Like,
going to
is
head to
first
my
round
bar.
being affected? Like, or are those other bars a little further down
I
the
would
way?
assume there's some sort of impact. The fact, and you're right. There's still a lot of money to go around.
Yeah.
But what they've made in the past, I'm sure for some, is being brought down because now you're having, for a home game, there's 18,000 in the rink, and then there's X thousand in the Moss Pit, X thousand in the fan park. And on away games, where they usually would get everyone, then there's still a lot of people in the rink. There's still the Moss Pit, and there's still the fan park. And those people now that would have spent money in a restaurant are now spending with the Oilers.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to continue this conversation, but
You
I
gotta
have to
go.
go.
Oh, you gotta open a store.
Why'd you text me that?
I don't know. You were talking.
Yeah, what's talking?
I didn't want to interrupt. you.
Great, Jay. Thanks for the text.
All
I got to
right.
run right as I'm reading as you're saying, I got to go, boys.
I didn't. I don't know why I text you.
Jay's a pleasure.
Shake and bake.
Nice seeing you.
Yeah, good seeing you too. How do you, brother?
Bye,
for me?
Matthew.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir.
I don't know what we're doing there. Okay. Careful with the arm
He
there.
does that.
Sorry.
This is the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. There's always someone looking to ride the next wave. They're here for the ones who make their own White Claw. The difference is clear. That was Jay Milne. We're with Derek Van Diest from NHL.com. Tom Gazzola, Matt Iwanyk here on Edmonton Sports Talk on EdmontonSportsTalk.com, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, as well as YouTube. You want to say something?
Ken was just asking because I had the listener who brought up the prices that he would have to pay for the play or will be paying for the playoffs this year. Ken was like, "Well, where are those seats? Those are club seats with an aisle, and like they're
But the price
right up
point
there."
stands in that it's going up.
So I'm looking like if you wanted upper bowl last year, the worst upper bowl seat was $83 per game. Round 1 right now, they are up to $97 per game in round 1. And then by the end of it, in that, like, say, let's call it the worst seat in the house. If last year it would be during the Stanley Cup final, if the team had make it there, $202 per game.
Per seat.
Per seat,
So you
yes.
force something.
And then now it's up to $294,
Well,
so a $92 increase per seat, and that's the worst seat
And
in the
that's
house.
almost a 50% increase.
Yes.
What are you paying at a concert?
It's ridiculous now, too.
Yeah.
This was the thing I was always said the most fascinating thing during COVID that I was going to be interested in financially and all this was with concerts and season seats and sports. What would happen with ticket prices? Because people have less money and just before COVID, we had been seeing a lot of places like Notre Dame in football had like their first non-sellout in so long. San Francisco 49ers stopped increasing season ticket prices. Oilers games weren't selling out during the regular season.
No, they weren't.
And I was always intrigued to be like, okay, what's going to be? Are we going to see a drop back? And we saw the other thing. It's going the other way. Like Gwen Stefani's coming to Commonwealth, and tickets are ridiculous.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
hearing about that. It's like $400 or something like that.
What?
It's
ridiculous.
insane where ticketing has gone in entertainment in general.
Yeah. Concerts are ridiculous. Like you can't. Who can afford to go to more than one concert a year now? Like it's
Yikes.
yeah.
That's insane,
Concerts
man.
are getting ridiculous. But yeah, it's just the economic reality.
But
of
how
things.
does this change at some point? Because
Well, we look at Winnipeg, right? There was an issue with Winnipeg wasn't selling out their building. Why weren't they selling out their building?
Prices.
And this is the thing: is there's a price point, and if you're not selling out your building, you're obviously your price point's too high, right? So you got to find that balance. You got to find the fine balance. I think playoffs, you're gonna sell out regardless. Actually, I remember Ottawa didn't sell out.
and here's the thing:
playoff
they got
games.
ripped for it at the time. People are like,
They
oh, your
did
team's in the
get
conference
ripped,
final,
yes.
and you can't sell this out. And looking back, well, no good. If the price point's too high,
if price point's
you're
too
not
high.
going there. I have no problem.
That's
with
how
that.
capitalism works. They, everyone talks about, supply and demand. Then suddenly, when the demand is not there, you got to bring
Bring it back.
bring it back. And I think we're seeing that a little bit of Winnipeg.
Yeah.
I think reality hit Winnipeg going, we have a great team.
And it was
We have a
pink, so-
contending team. Let's just charge her whatever we want. And then Winnipegger said, nope.
Yep.
There's a point. And I think the owners aren't getting there yet because there is money in this city.
Yeah.
And people will
province.
pay. In the province,
And people
yeah.
travel in from across the
Yeah.
province to come see
100%.
the Oilers on.
Even
Yeah.
a province over sometimes.
Good point.
You know.
That's true.
It's true.
So it was Gwen Stefani that was coming to town, and tickets right now. Ticket on Ticketmaster. This isn't. This is Ticketmaster pricing. Video view only, no view of stage.
What?
$324.30.
Video
on.
view only.
Video view only, no
But
view
ticket-
of the stage. Is
that
that the
behind
cheapest
the
you can get
stage?
for them? Verified resale is actually lower right now. You could get tickets for $205
Would that be
behind the
on
stage?
resale and
How-
stuff.
how do
But
you
you're
go to a
side of the
concert
you're on the side of the stage. It looks
So
like
you can't see her.
you can't fully see her.
You just
And
watch the
when she
video.
walks out, you'll be able to see her or something.
Yikes.
But yeah, so for a view, not even a guaranteed view of her, it's 300 and some bucks.
I remember when I was in college, I went to go see the Rolling Stones at Commonwealth, and I paid $55 for that ticket, and I thought that was exorbitant, extreme amount.
Yeah.
$55 to go see the Stones. at Commonwealth.
Here's the funny thing is my dad, he's a funny guy, as you know. He's interesting cat. In his retirement, if he sees a concert like at Commonwealth that he just wants to go to, whether it's like I don't know if it was like AC/DC or in the last few years, he just like will drive over there, park, and then like wander around and find a scalper. And he's like, I got in for $20. He just goes on his own. I'm like,
I love going to concert by myself.
it's hilarious. He's like, yeah, the concert had already started, and there's a guy scalper, and I'm like, I'll give you $20, and the guy's like, here you go. Well, just my dad, and otherwise he's just wandering around the stadium, going. He doesn't go play bocce. He could go with the other paisans, but he doesn't do that. He just wanders around, and he's like, yeah, I got him for $20.
That's
I'm
actually
like,
really smart because if at that point, if the concert started, like the main act,
Yeah.
they just want to get rid of that ticket.
yeah,
If
exactly.
they could get any money, they'll take it.
Well, I used to do that for Major League ball games when I was in a city. In the major, I'd show up in the third inning. It was like third or fourth inning.
Yeah.
You can sell me that ticket, or I can just walk away.
Yep.
We got Oilers lines.
All right.
Courtesy of Mark Spector of Sportsnet. Skinner gets the start. Kane back in the lineup. McDavid in between Nugent Hopkins and Hyman. Draisaitl centering Henrique and Fogle. McLeod in between Kane and Perry. And Ryan on the fourth line with Janmark and Brown. Defensively, Ekholm, Bouchard, Nurse, Ceci, Kulak, Desharnais.
All right. Thank you. And can I mention something about Kane? Because we talked about it a bit on the Oil
Before you
Stream.
do that, Oil Stream pregame show tonight.
Thank you.
4:30 right here on EdmontonSportsTalk.com with Tommy and Zach to come. Oilers Jets. He'll get you set, Tommy, and postgame to follow. Continue.
Thank you. We were saying, remember the maintenance day, the choice of wording was odd and the timing and all that. And we kind of batted it around yesterday. Kane was nicked up. I got it from the team. He was banged up. So to those that are going, oh, him and Leon, this and that, and Dusty and I kind of talked to like, could it be? And he was nicked up.
Why would they say that then?
I don't.
They should. That was a weird choice
Why
of
would you
words.
call that a maintenance day?
Just be like, he's banged
And not
up.
just like, are they scared of
Well, I
saying
think-
load management
well, I
type
think-
thing
I
of
think
the NBA?
No, I think you're getting to a point where you're hiding injuries from.
Yeah.
We're getting towards the playoffs where everything's upper body, lower body.
Yeah.
So maintenance day, you don't want to say he's nicked up. You don't want to say he's hurting in any way. We're getting to that
Nah,
stage of the
then go load
season.
management.
He opened the door to a bunch of stupid theories, and
Well, you do want- listen.
we even talked about it yesterday on our
That
stream, and we're
argument,
guilty
it
of it.
wasn't even an argument. It happens all the time. Guys argue with each other on the bench all the time. It just happens. Cameras happen to catch it. Draisaitl was mad because Kane was on the first unit power play and he didn't do it properly. He came off the wall and like he was supposed to stay on the wall, came off the wall. Bouchard threw the puck over there where he was supposed to be and he wasn't, and the puck came back the other way.
Yeah.
That's what Draisaitl was pointing out to him. It's like, dude, that's what your job is, to stay on that wall and give the guy an option, give you the puck. It wasn't anything beyond that, but it happens all the time. Like people argue and yell and scream, and it's you're fired up. It happens all the time. Like I used to get mad at teammates all the time. It's just part of the game. It's not that big a deal. There's not a big rift. Like it's just ridiculous.
Well, when you see that,
he's like,
I
stay
understand-
on the wall. That's your job. Stay on the wall. And Kane, you can almost see Kane going, yeah, okay, you're right.
Like, well, we had Kelsey laying into Andy Reid on the sideline during the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It became a story.
Yeah.
When it happens that publicly, it becomes a story. But now no team's going to just this close to the playoffs start benching a guy because of a potential riff
it
like
was-
between the because you need him for the
You need to do
go
something
win.
so
That's
egregious
something that
to be
later
benched because of
that
a
would
riff.
come.
So the thing,
But
Kelsey
I just
and Andy
the
Reid,
maintenance day, I just
It's a poor choice of words.
because you open up everything and look, teams are going to figure out that he's hurt. Then you figured it out.
All I had to do was one text.
Players are going to figure that, or the other teams are going to figure that out.
yeah, I think he's just getting to
he's
the point
nicked up.
now where
Okay.
everything's a secret. Upper body, lower body, everything's. It's the playoffs. Like you're down the stretch here. No one's gonna say that whatever he's ailing. And I think he's been ailing all year, to be honest with you. He hasn't. Like he's been ailing.
There
for a
keeps
lot of
being
people.
rumblings that he's hurt.
Yeah, there's something's been bothering him.
Well, he was hurt for a good month and a
Yeah.
bit, and then after a while, they had 9 days off. They had 9 days
Well, I
off.
don't know what it
All-Star
is.
break, bye week.
Like, yeah.
That doesn't. You don't always heal though in 9 days, depending what it
Depends
is.
Yeah, if it's a hip issue or something.
Yeah,
But if you start at this point right now, you're in the playoffs.
but Matty,
Rest more.
4 assists in 17, 18 games is not
Sure.
good enough.
But let him rest.
Well, he had a maintenance
Because
day.
in the end, I will say this about Kane: he hasn't been playing well. But part of what you want from Kane is what can he do in the playoffs?
Yeah.
and
He's in
that's
playoff.
and then I will
That's where
judge
you need to
Kane's
see it.
season based
Yeah.
on his
That's
playoff
his
performance.
playoff,
Now
yeah.
is
That's
that
fair.
I could look at all these games, and maybe some people would be like, well, projecting if he can't do it now, he's not going to do it in the playoffs, and I understand that, and it's a very fair argument.
Yeah.
But I want to see what he does in the playoffs.
Yeah.
'Cause if this is a guy that does what he's done with the Oilers
He shows
in the
up.
playoffs, he's going to show up with the big body plus scoring some goals.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be happy with him.
Yeah.
If it's this in the playoffs, then yeah, it's even worse. But I'll wait to see. That's the
fair.
time you
That's
need
fair.
Evander Kane.
That's fair, yeah.
But if
Yeah.
he's banged up right now, I say just sit him a couple more games.
No, I agree. If he's not 100%, or let him get to as close as healthy as possible. Mind you, though, the Oilers do want to hold on to that second place. They do.
They only have 1 point up
Yeah.
on LA right now.
LA a
so-
big win last night in Vancouver,
Yeah.
so
But games in hand.
LA's coming.
Yeah, 3 games in hand.
Those games in hand are only good if you win them,
Yeah, but
right?
they're going to
So they
beat
need-
LA. Go to LA, start off on the road, and
They
you'll
were
beat
supposed
LA.
to beat Ottawa. Didn't happen.
No, but I'm saying the series, they'll beat LA. Because you like, look, and actually,
Okay,
I
hold on.
believe it's better to start on the road too, because the home team needs to get two.
This is
You don't
the
want to
thing.
drop that first game, especially LA. LA comes as hosting the Oilers, and they drop one to the Oilers in those first two. They're panicking, and the Oilers will absolutely roll them, and it's a
Well,
series
this
over.
is the thing, though. To beat a team 3 times in a row,
It's hard.
in the playoffs is not easy to do.
No.
You're just fighting against the odds here. Like third time could be the charm for the Kings, right? Like
Could be,
it's going to be a
or
tough
the Oilers
series.
have their complete number, and they have no shot against the Oilers because the Oilers start that series mentally in their heads. The Kings coming going, this team again.
Playoffs,
we've got to go up against the Oilers again.
You're right. The things change quickly. They go in that first game and the Kings, they pull it out. They win. They say, hey, we can beat these guys. You get a third shot at a team, you've learned some things. Like I don't care how much better that team is. If we get a third shot at these guys, we're gonna make that's the thing that concerns me is that it's the third time in a row.
But if you go to LA for the first two, I'm saying if the Oilers drop to third and you just take one, the Kings will go, here we go again.
Yeah.
Here we go again. And you're coming back home for the next two.
No
for the
easy
Oilers.
matchups in the West this postseason. That's for damn sure.
Well, there's not. And just be thankful you don't got to go through that Central Division until
And Vegas might have to.
Yeah.
Vegas will have to go through that Central Division.
It's looking like we'll see how this fully plays out. As of right now, they are in the Pacific. But Colorado has a game in hand to change that. But that would be just a huge break for Vancouver and LA and the Oilers. Like if all of a sudden Vegas is, although Nashville they're rolling hot.
They are
right now.
on
they're playing
fire,
really
man.
well right now.
If there's a team that does scare you going into the playoffs, it's that team that is
Any
firing
team
at all
in the
cylinders,
Central.
right?
Yeah, well, that Central Division is unbelievable. So, like, you look at how well those teams are in that Central Division.
Just
So,
hope they beat the living you know what out of each other, and then
well, that's the hope. Yeah. Then
Yeah.
there's not much left when they get to the
But
conference
I think if
final.
Vancouver gets to the first round, I'm concerned about them in the first round just to get the playoff experience. But if they do, they're a good hockey team.
Oh, I think they'd be fine the first
And
round. It'll be a great.
they've beaten the Oilers.
If it's Oilers Vancouver, that's gonna be a great series.
yeah.
I really do think it's gonna be a great series.
No easy series this go around.
No, and even LA to beat a team 3 times, 3 years in a
I
row.
respect. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, like you're gambling, man. You're playing the odds.
It's
East,
Mr. Lean.
the East is laughing this year. And to me, it was role reversal. I think last year we looked at this the way with the East and went, "There's a lot of great teams," and it was West was wide open.
Well, the
Anyone
East-
could come through the West. It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
This year, I think is a little more open in the
Totally.
East, a little more open in the East, but it's not like a lot of teams that have a chance.
Boston, Florida, in the East.
Rangers?
Rangers are in there.
Fair.
Leafs are there. Like
I wouldn't put the Leafs there, but
Boston,
with
Florida.
Shesterkin, if he
To
could get
me-
going, like. But then the West, it is.
Murderers Row,
2
man.
weeks ago, I would have made the argument for 6 out of the 8 teams. I'm now there for Preds to go there.
Yeah.
Still not there with the Kings.
Yeah.
well,
Fully going all the way,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
getting to a cup final. I'm not there with the Kings
not
yet.
there with the Kings. But the Kings play such a boring brand of hockey, though. Like it's sit back, wait. Like it just
Won them Stanley Cups.
yeah. Because it's
True.
It is boring as hell.
Yeah.
Sutter hockey.
But I was talking with Speck about
Let's
that on
beat
one of the
everyone
games,
2-1.
and it's
yeah.
the fan base loves it. The Kings fans don't care. They got the banners.
Yeah, they don't.
But the rest of the hockey is just this. What is it? Kings Devils that one year.
Yeah, that
Just,
was just
so forgetful.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah.
Kings
Right?
Devils.
You're like,
Does
yeah,
anyone
that's-
cross the red line, try and score a goal?
Nope.
But hey, if the Oilers do that in the playoffs and they go win, fans will be happy
Brilliant.
that they got
well,
the
they
banner.
did it. That's how they got by Detroit in 06.
It was-
completely changed their
Complete-
style.
Yeah, they trapped all.
They were.
Yeah.
They were.
Remember, we were all
That's-
like, "What the hell's
06
going on here?"
Obviously, having Chris Pronger is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Fernando Pisani that year was incredible. Dwayne Rolison was out of his mind.
Michael
and Craig
Pekka.
McTavish was a brilliant coach in that playoffs.
Well,
especially in those first 2
the
rounds.
top 4 seeds lost the first round.
But they took down one of them.
Yeah, they took down the top seed.
Yeah.
And then the other 3
Yes.
dominoes fell as well. And I think that really opened the door for the Edmonton Oilers.
But-
you need luck. You need the puck to bounce your way in the playoffs.
But Mac T coaching against the Red Wings and then the Sharks, they were
no,
brilliant.
Mac T was great.
He
outcoached. He outcoached everyone in that.
I always wanted him to get that ring for that because
Yeah.
he deserved it.
No, he did.
I was a big Mac T coach fan. Like I was the year that he left and Strutty said that
The mistake Mac T made, though, the mistake that cost the Edmonton Oilers the Stanley Cup was he couldn't settle on one backup. He had to
Yeah,
rotate.
he was
the two,
rotating them.
trying to keep him happy. Mac, you know what?
yeah.
Tommy Sala's your backup. You know, the other guy's your third goalie. Leave it at
It
that.
was Conklin Markkinen.
Conklin. Sorry, Mark.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
They also
Conklin's
blew
your
a lead in that game.
No, yeah, because they had the wrong backup on the bench.
Did they not
in
blow up
game one.
beforehand?
No, that's when Rolison got hurt. They're up 3-0, and they bring in Conklin.
Yeah.
I thought
And
he just gave up
No,
the
he
last
came
goal
in really late.
because it was he fumbled the puck with
Yeah.
Jason Smith.
Yeah.
But I think Rolison was in net for some of those goals. I'd have to go double check. They blew a lead in that one.
They blew a 3-0 lead.
yeah.
3-0 first period.
They
lead.
should have.
Chris Pronger scored a penalty shot goal in that
That's
game.
right.
That's right.
It was like, oh, they're winning the Stanley Cup.
But if,
2006.
yeah, if it's Markkinen in net instead of Conklin,
But there's no
They win the Stanley Cup.
Markkinen was brilliant after
Game
that.
6. Well,
Game
the funny thing was
summaries.
is that they were trying to play the charade. Well, which one are we going to go with? Come on, we know we're going to go with. You know who the better goalie is, and the better goalie should have been sitting on your bench, not in the press box in Game 1.
I love too that Ty Conklin was breaking in new pads for Dwayne Rollison as well.
Yeah.
It was like just a bizarre.
It was a
twist of
bizarre.
fate.
Like you had your 3
Yeah.
goalies designate, and the thing is that Craig McTavish sometimes had difficulty making decisions. Like
Mac
that.
T, a future guest on the Hangout.
Yes.
I saw him on Friday. He's like, just let me know when I'm back.
So the
from my
Oilers are up
holidays.
3-0. 17-17 mark, I'm assuming, of the third is when the Hurricanes scored their first goal. They had a 4-3 lead, but then Hemsky tied it on the power play with
Yes.
6:29 to go. Then Rollison got hurt.
Yeah.
And then Conklin threw the
And
puck
then
away.
Conklin and Jason Smith had their issue with 32 seconds left, and the Oilers ultimately lost 5-4. But they blew a 3-0 lead with Dwayne Rollison in there.
Yeah, and then Conklin cost them the game.
And then, well, I would say blowing a 3-0 lead cost them the game
Well,
too.
it's different times back then where you can get a penalty for putting your stick on a guy's thigh.
Well, actually, we
Right.
came out of
Ask-
that lockout that year.
ask
and
Matt Green.
We just did a bunch, but
He was getting.
I
Some,
loved
He was getting some
Craig
pretty
McTavish.
cheesy. You go back and look at that series. I'm like, that was a penalty. Poor man. I felt bad for him. Like he couldn't do anything. He's like,
Well, you
"That's
could
a
watch
penalty?
the
That's a
Oilers
penalty?"
game the other night and be like, that's a penalty.
That's true.
Desharnais one, and the one after that got called on Ottawa.
Yeah.
Oilers win tonight. They close out this road trip with the win.
I don't know.
I don't
again,
know, man.
There's an ornery like Winnipeg.
They're not winning hockey games right now, too.
They did not play
They're
well.
struggling.
That's
They had
a
a
bad,
bad
that bad
trip.
road trip.
Yeah.
You come home, you're in a bad mood. That's a bad road trip. Tough building to win in. You know, you'd like to think the Oilers can come out and they should never have lost that game to Ottawa. That's got to be in the 3-1 lead
Their D zone was
against that team.
porous.
No, that's inexcusable. I'm sorry to lose that game. Not even get a point out of that game against that team. That team is horrific, and you're up 3-1. You're sailing. You're in there like, yeah.
Did you write that in your article?
That what you can't lose that.
That Ottawa's horrific.
No, it just implied.
DVD, thanks for coming in today. As
No
always, it's
problem.
great having you
Appreciate
here.
having-
Great day for football, too, to talk. Great having you on for that. Tommy, you got the Oil Stream pregame show,
sir.
4:30, because the game's at 6 tonight, and then postgame show right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Coming up next here on EdmontonSportsTalk.com, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, as well as YouTube. It is the Lock Shop with Dusty and Haas. Then at noon, it's former NHLers Matt Cassie and Joaquin Gage with Dusty, with 2 guys and a goalie. Both of those shows with a keyword for the EST flyaway. So stay tuned for that. On behalf of Jay Milne, who's here, Derek Van Diest, Tom Gazzola, Matt Iwanyk. Thanks again for tuning into the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. Lock Shop starting here on Edmonton Sports Talk in just a few minutes.
Let's go. There you go, right in front of the camera.
First time guest, long time listener, fan of the original draft commissioner.
Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. The difference is clear. Matt Iwanyk, Tom Zola with here. Joining us today